4 hours to see a game of football, but it was worth seeing. It was fantastic to see the performances of the Hawks back in town, and I think a few other teams in the competition might be just looking over their shoulders a bit, but this is all about the Tigers today, and haven't they turned up? When I arrived, the concourse out the back was just chock-a-block with Richmond fans, and if you're a Richmond supporter, you would come today because they've got a chance of winning, so they might have a rare victory here today. So they have turned up, and it's great to see.
Big chance for the Tigers against the Eagles. 1 win apiece last year, and the Eagles have been one of the disappointing sides for mine in the competition this year. Adam Ramanauskas is with us, and there's a book that's just been released, ladies and gentlemen. In the words of Ian Molly-Meldrum, do yourself a favour. There's an extract in The Age today, 9 Lives, as told by Adam to respected Age football journalist Emma Quayle. And Rama got a chance to read one of the extracts today, and the hair stood up at the back of my neck, basically. Absolutely sensational. Great to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Look, it's I guess it was good to write a book, I guess. Only 29, and to have the opportunity to tell my story, I guess, of what happened is something I'm very proud of, and I'll have documented now for the rest of my life. So it's one of those things, but we're not here to talk about me, we're here to talk about the footy.
Could I just ask one more question on that? Do you still feel very emotional about all those times?
Oh, look, absolutely, but it's a case of getting on with your life and moving forward. It's you're wasting your time if you live in the past, and I guess my whole outlook is to be healthy and remain healthy and continue to do the things I love.
And you're doing a great job. It's good to have you with us. And David Parker, talking of working around the clock, he came off the bench last night when Aussie Jones and Brett Montgomery were unavailable. Saw the Cats beat the Bombers. He saw North Melbourne beat Carlton, and he's back on his bike again to see Richmond and West Coast. Parker, welcome.
Yeah, Dan, to be here again. The cans on my head haven't got cool yet, or cold, from one ground to another and one game to another. We saw a side on Friday, North Melbourne dominated, never let Carlton get on the front foot, and played really exciting football. For a half last night, I thought Essendon were very, very good and matched it with the best, but after half-time the best just got better or got closer to their optimum and played absolutely sensational. I mean, you get disappointed because the contest doesn't become a contest, but to watch a great team play, the footy they play, they're so team-oriented, so efficient with their movement and the usage of the ball. It's exciting stuff. So despite the end result, was a great game to be at. We'll get a good game here today, don't worry. There's not that much difference. The punters have got them heavily backed Richmond. I don't think it's anywhere near a done thing today. I think West Coast, I talked to Johnny last week.
Former colleague of yours, John Worsfold. Yeah. Is he under the pump if he loses here today?
He's got a remarkable way of dealing with all that sort of. He's the most down-to-earth, accepting person of what the reality is and deals with it as good as any person I've ever met. And they're okay. They fight hard. Richmond fight hard too. It's just what they do when they get the ball. Richmond have got a bit better, but West Coast are the turnover kings. They just keep giving it back and hurt themselves dreadfully. So it'll be
Bush has got contest. Some bargaining chips as a premiership player and a premiership coach. When do you run out?
No, I think that he would realise, I think at the moment, that there is an expectation which they haven't delivered against, and that would put him under pressure.
So a huge opportunity for the Eagles to win their 4th game today, their 2nd game of the MCG. They beat Melbourne earlier in the season. A couple of players out. Adam Selwood, Adam, how much of a loss is he? He's a pretty important member of this side, isn't he?
Hugely important to their midfield. There's no doubt about it. He's, I guess, been one of the mainstays there for many years now, and he generally gets the number one tagging job for them. And, the obvious one today for Richmond has obviously been Trent Cotchin, who's been in terrific form over the last couple of weeks. So, who goes to him next? And it's probably his brother in Scott Selwood who runs with Cotchin. And I think that's a great matchup because they're basically around the same age and at the same stage of their careers. And, Cotchin being the attacking midfielder that he is, and I guess Scott Selwood learning to be a real defensive stopper.
It is I think the major loss. There's no doubt about it. Adam Selwood has become, not in the class yet of his brother at Geelong, but is one of their better players to do the roles that you've suggested. It is, in the context of this game, a massive loss for the very reason you've said. I think Cotchin's developing into a very, very competent player, and he would have been the obvious man to do the job, Rammer.
Yeah, and what it also does is Adam Selwood's one of their vice captains, so that leadership that comes out of the side from a young West Coast side playing in Melbourne is very, very difficult to replace. You know, their travel woes are well documented, so you know, but I think West Coast should be coming out today expecting to beat Richmond in terms of where both teams are at in the stages of their development. You'd say West Coast should be ahead of Richmond in their development.
Probably the two younger sides in the comp. West Coast have got 13 players with less than 50 games. Richmond 11. Tigers have 8 players who played less than 20. And West Coast, I think, have 6 who played 21 or less. So they are two very young, inexperienced and raw combinations.
Two very young teams, but this is why supporters come to the football, just to see the journey of teams and the way they build up into, I guess, contenders. You know, Geelong now out and out the best team in the competition, but their journey from 2000 to where they are now is they started here.
And the people who've ridden that ride, I mean, the Geelong people talk about it with great pride as they see them develop. They'll see them gradually dwindle too. At some time, I thought it might have been now. And the Richmond people, you caught it right, Drew, the Richmond people have come out in numbers. What a latent support group. If they ever get up and start to crack into finals and win finals, they'll have 50 to 60,000 members like that. It'll just happen overnight.
No doubt at all. I was a Tiger supporter as a kid, and I know my brother and my dad will be listening because they're Tiger supporters still, and they're just waiting for the day that Richmond start coming back up the ladder again.
They didn't turn over to Essendon, or they did.
They did, but Dad's he's a traditionalist, the old man, so he sticks with the Tigers, I think.
I'm going with Rammer's idea. They've beaten West Coast 8 out of the last 10 encounters, and if that doesn't give you a bit of confidence, you've been a part of it, you know that you've got this mob covered. So I reckon West Coast are a real chance today.
And just looking out there now, very interesting that Cox and Nat Nui are both starting in the centre square. So
interesting, isn't it?
Who's the rucker over here?
Now, Nick Jewell is on the boundary just before Drew kicks it off for us. Nick, bit sore after you played for Sorrento yesterday. How's the body?
First game in 12 years. I've pulled up like I've been run over by a tank, but not to worry. It's beautiful. It's much nicer here than it was at Somerville yesterday. Let me tell you.
I can imagine.
Interesting one, boys. Ben Cousins starting on the bench against his old side, and Tyrone Vickery, his journey begins with Troy Simmons retiring last week.
So the start of the game, and we're underway. Graham faces Cox in the middle. Cox wins the hit out down to Nick Nat, who misses with his attempted kick. Pinched by Cochin. He's ridden into the ground, and now a stack of players just away from the circles, and the umpire's going to ball it up, and we get a second start.
Well, that's interesting, Drew, with Nat Nui starting there, because he's been the best clearance player, not necessarily not ruck, but best clearance player from centre bounces. So that's why they put him in.
So this time he goes third man up and tries to take clean possession, then goes without it. Daniel Jackson's in there hard for the Tigers, and once again we're going to get another ball up. And it was interesting in the huddle prior to the game, Daniel Jackson was the voice for the Tigers. He's back after suspension. He's not the official captain, but he's captaincy material, and he had a lot to say just before the game. We get the third bounce. Now a whistle. The umpire's going to clear it with a free kick, and the free goes to Dean Cox of the Eagles. Little hand pass to Prittis, peeling around the back. Kick by Prittis from the middle of the ground. Deep inside the 50, almost to Kennedy, but it's knocked away from him. Comes to Embley of the Eagles on the 50. His hand pass is intercepted here, and the Tiger taken to ground. It comes up the ground and is taken away now by Martin, who kicks the Tigers forward all the way to half-forward flank. Beautifully done by Jake King, who runs Hearn in a circle, but King's disposal is poor, and off the left boot he kicks the ball out of bounds on the full.
Embley, isn't he struggling? I mean, Embley had the ball there. He did 2 180 degrees looking for somewhere to hit. Instead of just hitting it instantaneously and got rolled over, turned the thing over. He's just struggling.
Shannon Hearn in boards at the Brett Jones. There's some big team news at Docklands. We'll tell you in a second. Kicks to Roser at fullback. Jonathan Brown out for the Lions. Troy Selwood in. So all Selwood boys, all Adam not playing, but 3 of them playing again this weekend as Ebert marks inside defensive 50 and he finds Wilkes. Wilkes has to go backwards to Ebert. An accomplished player already for the West Coast Eagles, averaging 20 possessions a game this year. Has a bounce, will head towards the outer side. They're heading to the punt right in this quarter. And he finds Nikoski, one of the late replacements. Played in the 2005 Grand Final on his non-preferred right. Kicks down the line to Waters, acting captain. He's on the left, kicks inside 50. A scrubby old kick from Waters, which is half smothered. And it rolls towards the boundary. And it's out of bounds before Kennedy could get there.
Am I allowed to say it lacks anything at the moment?
It's lacking.
We're waiting for the referee to say, fight, boys, or it's a nothing game. To this point, nothing happening.
Like they didn't hear the bell. Nat Nui in ruck. He gets it to Selwood. Little hand pass to Embley, whose kick is smothered just outside the 50. No score on the borders yet. Comes out the back door. And the hand pass by Schofield out wide. And he delivers it to Cox, who puts a pass down towards the forward pocket. But a good spoil is put on and gets the ball away from Kennedy. And the ball's out of play in the forward pocket. Well done by Asprey. Throw in. Eagles in attack.
And Ashby playing in defence today. It comes down to Koch and a hand pass to Edwards. Gets claimed. We've got a hand pass to Tambling, now to Moore. Moore a high kick on the southern side towards a half-back flanker with the flight. Brett Jones takes a very good mark. Schofield kept his opponent out of it, and Collins allowing Jones to take the mark. Handballs inside of the bearded Schofield. Feeds a hand pass that puts Scott Selwood under the pump. And this is a comedy of errors, this match. Hand pass should have gone to Embley, who didn't really want it. Boundary throw-in on attacking 50 on the southern side.
We need Richmond to do something. The crowd will lift and get the intensity going, but at the moment West Coast are dominating.
Graham beats Cox, slaps to his own advantage. Hotly pressed by Prittis. Hand pass not great. Moore is there. Tangled up inside the fence of 50 for the Tigers. He's hovering over the football. There'll be a ball up.
Richmond's mindset would be very interesting, knowing that they're coming into the game as favourites. Will they have that same aggression at the ball that they've showed for the past month?
Here's the ball up on the 50. It's won by Graham for the Tigers, but it comes down to Ebert, who's slung to the turf, and the umpire will restart with a bounce. Umpire's working overtime. Umpire's in red today. Cox against Graham. Graham wins the hit out. Ball comes down to Tambling. He's swamped. Tackled by Hearn. And the umpire is going to ball it up again. Well, this is incredible. We've been going over 4 minutes and it really hasn't got underway yet. 0-0.
I reckon we've had more ball-ups and possessions so far. Bounce. Inside attacking 50 for the Eagles at the punt road in. Chance for Martin. Can't take it. Rosa grabs it for the Eagles. He's wrapped up in a tackle. And again, another ball up just outside attacking 50. And Stevick, Stewart and Jennings, the umpires today, working overtime already.
We'd be happy if the Socceroos get 0-0, but I don't know about a game of AFL.
So 55 out from West Coast goal on the southern side, where the play's been so far. Cox gets a free kick from the ruck confrontation. And the four-time All-Australian at right half forward pops it up towards the goal square. McKinley in the middle. Kennedy from the side for West Coast Cart Market. At ground level, Waters a handball to Kennedy. Can't take it. Nason does for the Tigers. Had the kick smothered. Goes in again, Ben Nason. 30 out from the goal. They're defending. It's tossed out. The Eagles can't control it. Now a chance for Richmond to emerge with it. Hand pass came out from Tark. Now to Martin. He'll escape congestion. This is better for the Tigers on the MCC member side. Hearn nearly takes a one-hander. Pushed off it too easily though by King for Richmond. On the left, his disposal not great. Inside 50.
No.
Fist came from Wilkes. But at the back, it sits for the man of the moment, Riewoldt. Open goal. Tigers away. Well, all that effort by West Coast and they couldn't score. Richmond get it down to their end at the city end once and they score a goal. Riewoldt has 36 goals for the season. They're one straight 6. West Coast yet to score at the 6-minute mark.
And it's modern day football now. Is when West Coast turned the ball over, Richmond were able to just have space all over the field and then going into the forward line. Riewoldt's been sensational in the one-on-one contest this year. The ball goes over the back and he kicks an easy goal. The role of Jake King's got to be an interesting one today. He's playing as a defensive forward on Shannon Hurd, who is clearly their best kick of the ball, and they'll try to use throughout the game.
Bo Wilkes made a nice old blue then, trying to punch the ball away, and it got behind him and opened up a path for Riewoldt the goal. From the centre bounce, ruck infringement, and the free kick goes to Graham, who's showing a bit of potential, Angus Graham. Tassie boy, Assumption College, little hand pass away. Jackson, kick inside the 50. Juggle in front, Riewoldt, he's got it again! 3 touches before he pulled in the mark. And Jack Riewoldt, who's kicked 20 goals in the last 4 weeks, could get the first 2 of this game in the opening 7 minutes.
Well, ended up being a good mark, didn't he? He was under a fair bit, unlike the other one where Wilkes went across, should have marked it. He was well and clear over the top, punched it clear at the back to Riewoldt to get that one. This one was well earned.
48 metres, virtually directly in front. The kick to the city end is his second goal. And Richmond, 2 goals to 0.
It's absolutely amazing what confidence can do for you when you're playing football. Jack Riewoldt's just in an absolute purple patch of form at the moment. So all the ball is basically going to go through Jack Riewoldt today. West Coast need to realise that. Yes, they need to drop defenders off, but they also need their midfield to be pushing back there. There was a free kick in the centre circle there. The West Coast midfielders didn't push back to help out. It was basically a one-on-one contest with Riewoldt and McKenzie.
He could win the Coleman medal yet, Riewoldt. He started this round 4 goals behind the joint leaders, Favola and Pavlich, who both played today, but he's in terrific form. Playing as the main forward for the Tigers, with Morton out of form and out of the side. Cox the tap, but rowed by Tuck. Threads a hand pass through traffic for the Tigers. White gets a bad bounce. Embley arrives and pops a little hand pass out to Pritters for West Coast. A hand pass to Hearn. Hand pass to Embley. Back to Hearn, who fumbles it in the middle. Tucker's tackled, but somehow got it out. Was that legal? Don't know. White runs onto it, races away, kicks to an open goal. It's bouncing just the wrong side behind. And Tigers in a bit of a burst at the moment, doing all the attacking. 2-1-13. The Eagles yet to score on Grandstand AFL.
We had a massive momentum change, didn't we? It went for 3 minutes flat out with West Coast in control. Now it's gone 3 minutes the other way with dominance with Richmond.
Nice old throw in the middle of the ground that the Tigers got away with. Hearn kicks in a country kilometre, and the man in front takes the mark for the Tigers, but the free kick is going to go to Tuck. Better kick and after goal. Kick by Tuck to Riewoldt again on the chest. He marks in front, and he is 35 metres out from goal. This could be a hat-trick for Jack Riewoldt in the opening 10 minutes.
See, they're missing Darren Glass, Adam.
Oh, no doubt. But again,
it's not the man on him.
No.
It's the blokes on either side in front of him who just aren't coming across the line.
You shouldn't be able to take a mark directly in front, 35 metres out from a free kick.
And it was a chest mark. It landed in his belly.
Here's the shot for goal. He's got 3. The only 3 goals of the game to Jack Riewoldt. The Tigers 3-1-0.
This is what these are coach killers. These ones, aren't they?
Yep.
The free kick is so there's a lapse in play. There's probably 10 seconds before that ball's delivered inside 50 to Riewoldt. But again, the West Coast midfielders should have been back there filling the hole. So that will make Richmond chip around. But Jack Riewoldt takes an uncontested mark.
Yeah,
basically 35 metres out from goal. There's no one in front of him.
There's an argument, Rammer. If it's unpredictable, we don't know where it's going, and the zone might get caught out, but they know exactly where the ball's going.
Eagles under the pump. All that effort is mentioned for nothing. Richmond very efficient when going forward. Cox to do the ruck work up against Vickery. You think the West Coast are dominating the ruck with the experienced Dean Cox as he taps it down, but Richmond are winning the clearances. Tuck again, great hands to Edwards. He stabs it wide on the MCC member side. White cuts inside, kicks inside 50. Go to Riewoldt. Why not? That's why you go to him. Another mark to Jack Riewoldt. He's putting on a clinic.
Beautiful kick. That time it caught the defence out. Gone from the thin to the fat side with a beautiful raking kick that crossed the corridor right in front of him. He got up early and protected the ball. He's doing exactly what he should do, and the method in has been just superb.
Slightly left half forward, 45 out. For goal number 4 inside 11 minutes. You betcha. He could kick the way he's going. He could break the record today.
Look out, Fred Fanning.
Fred Fanning, it's been a long time coming. 4 goals in 11 minutes to Jack Riewoldt. Tigers 4-1-25. The Eagles yet to score.
It's exciting stuff, isn't it? We just make... How would McKenzie be feeling if you're the opposition at the moment, being an old backman? You'd be... quarter time, we're halfway through the first quarter, you've got 4, you'd have the white flag up saying, Coach, get me out of here.
That's right. But that's the type of ball movement that Damien Hardwick would want to see. It was direct, it was quick, and the delivery of the ball was perfect.
Who cut back inside to do that?
White.
It was young White. Well, it was a lovely... He got round his opponent inside and delivered a beautifully placed kick.
in perfect conditions, no breeze, grey and overcast, and the Tigers on fire. Nat Nui has a kick smothered in the middle. It spills away to the Eagles here. Shepherd, ball worked across the ground to Stevenson. He kicks towards centre half forward, and it flips off hands, and the Tigers a quick exchange. Here's Cousins against his former team. Gets the hand pass away to Newman. Newman out wide with his pass, well delivered, and the mark is taken here by Connors. Daniel Connors, good to see him back. Gets the hand pass away to Asprey. His kick down the line, and the mark taken by Graham. Richmond looking like world beaters.
He's getting better, Graham. Angus Graham is getting better as a player.
Penetrates the 50. Riewoldt outnumbered 2-1, and the numbers were too much for him. And the mark in front taken for the Eagles by Beau Waters.
Rammer's coaching's got through the runner, and they've got there to get the man in front.
Waters kicks into vacant territory. Lacroix is a dangerous goal scorer for West Coast. Gets a possession on the outer wing. Feeds inside of the Norm Smith Medal Assembly. Then you have the kick half run down. Gee, their disposal is terrible, isn't it, by West Coast? And there's going to be a free kick. It'll go the Eagles' way. They're lucky. Just as Jackson had pounced onto it, Kennedy got one in the back of the outer wing. Has to go wide, the ex-Blue. Been accurate this year. He finds Embley at half forward. He curls into the pocket looking for McKinley, but camped in front. What a horrible kick that was. Is McGuiney. Handballs now to Delidio in the goal boots, like the Hawthorn teams of the 70s and 80s. Kicks to Edwards. He curls it wide now to Farmer. Farmer at half back. On the MCC member side, confronted by Pritters. In short to Tambling on the bounce. Not a good kick. Hand pass to Farmer. Set him a task. Back to Tambling. Now to Nason, who goes without it, spinning by in front of happy Richmond supporters in the northern stand. Tigers 4-1-25. The Eagles yet to score. Grandstand AFL at the 14-minute mark.
Here's the throw in at half forward for the Eagles. Natanui in the ruck against Graham. Comes down to the front. Tigers. Embley dispossessed. It's a scrap. Cousins is there. The umpire's going to sort this out with a bounce eventually. Martin does really well. Does clear the area. Comes to Rosa, but he takes a tackle high. Free kick to the Eagles in between wing and half forward. Nick Jewell right there in front of you, Nick.
Paco talked about the momentum change earlier. It goes back to the first goal where Dustin Martin won the contested ball and pumped it in long.
Kick by Rosa. The centre half forward, punch out by the Richmond defence. It comes to Martin, strong body to Cochin. He tries to barge his way through, gets a tackle high, and the free kick to Trent Cochin. Tigers 4-1-0.
Tough contest. And Cochin will go backwards to try and set it up around the outer side to McGuine. Stabs a right footer. They share it now. Good to have him back, Connors. On the left, loads up towards half forward looking for King. Opposed to Hearn. King was into Hearn's back. He'll take the free kick at half back for West Coast. There's a good junior cricketer in South Australia, Shannon Hearn. Kicks back inside defensive 50. Taken by young Stevenson in his fifth game. Kicks it nicely to Shepherd. Shepherd now runs away. The youngster for West Coast. Met late on the MCC member side. Forces a poor kick on the left. Taken by Moore, who charges through for the Tigers. Handballs inside to Martin. Fancy footwork. Takes it. McKenzie beats him easily. By hand of Vickery. By hand of Martin. By hand of Cochin. Confronted by Natanui. Tackle. Turnover. Pritters wins it for the Eagles. Now down in the direction of Lacroix at half forward. He stabs in short. Again, the kick's too high for McKinley. Kennedy's there. He just grabs it into an open goal, and Josh Kennedy kicks it. Makes something out of nothing. Their disposal wasn't great, but the numbers win the day, and Kennedy's 33rd goal of the season gets the Eagles on the board. They're one straight six. Richmond 4-1-25, 16 minutes travel.
Just needed to take the body there, McGuine. The body or the ball. It was one or the other. So I think he just tried to be too cute, but West Coast had to work so hard for that goal. But Nick Natanui, a couple of his efforts in the tackle as a tall ruckman,
unbelievable.
He leads their contested possessions, tackles, all sorts of things, Nick Natanui, and I think the rest of the West Coast midfield should be looking at him.
What absolutely annoys me is Lacroix just hung back there, didn't chase out, no pressure at all. He's on the end of a lucky turnover.
Natanui in the ruck, jumps over the top, comes out the Eagles' way, but Cochin snatches it in the middle and kicks long inside the 50. And defensive mark drop down there, gives the Tigers a chance. Riewoldt gets a hand pass out. He's kicked 4 goals and hand passing as well. This ball comes out and is taken for the Tigers, but they lose control of it. Embley now has it at half-back. Little kick off the left, just kicked it anywhere. Running onto the bouncing ball, Deledio. Deledio back towards the 50. Nason, the only show. Drops a mark that he may have taken, but he was under pressure. Comes to Embley. It comes back to King. Off to Martin. The kick by Martin. And the top draft pick kicks the goal. Richmond on fire. 5-1. The Eagles 1 goal.
7 possessions for Martin as well, boys.
Well, I'm getting old, I suppose. I shouldn't be asking a vote, but I'll tell you the best player for Richmond's Embley. Embley, seriously, Embley must have had about 8 or 9 possessions to this stage.
He's had 8.
He's had 8 possessions to this stage. 7 of them have ended up back with Richmond and a score on the end of them. He's been unbelievable. He's just too hesitant. He's just lost all confidence and the ball keeps finding him. Can't make a correct decision. If he makes a decision, he upsets with the execution of it.
Well, they've had a few kicks inside 50 and they've all cleared the intended target. And Tigers, what a start. Leading by 25 points. Graham, a little tap for Richmond, putting the body on the line, Selwyn allowing Ebert to squeeze it through. But Deledio outmarks Nikoski comfortably for Richmond at halfback. Slides it to the MCC member side. Running onto it, White. Decides to take on Jones. Handballs to Cochin. Fends off a tackle at halfback. Back to White. He goes backwards to Moore. A little bit dangerous. Pitches for him. Has to soccer it away. And in the end, that was a very good idea. And Connors will collect it halfback on the Great Southern stand side. Or he gets held up in a tackle. In fact, he got tripped. He'll take it in front of the old Bay 13 inside defensive 50 with his team Richmond leading by 25 points.
Making a return to the side after a club-imposed suspension, and he kicks up the ground. Farmer slides in and takes the mark at half-back. Good use of the ball. Finds Edwards in the centre square. Kick by Edwards. Straight to full forward. Riewoldt again. He's got it again. He might kick 5 before quarter time.
This reminds me of Drew Petrie, round 13, 2007 against the Bulldogs.
We hope he continues because Petrie didn't touch the ball after that, did he?
Not really, no.
No, I think he had 5 early. Look, it's terrific. The enthusiasm now, they've lifted a nice 7-day Richmond for the first 4 or 5 minutes, nothing.
It's direct football. Just shows the importance of bringing the football back through the corridor.
40 metres for Jack for number 5. Yes, sir! What a display by Jack Riewoldt. 5 out of their 6. It's 6-1 to 1 goal.
Massive Drew argument going on. I hear Hardwick interviewed. It was a terrific interview about they need more outside carriers and users. They've got the grunt inside. They're the leading team in the competition. Centre bounces, clearances. They've been absolutely fantastic. And then they've got Deledio sitting across half-back. And this is the argument. I'll play Judd at half-back if I was at Carlton to help him with the load of tag and doing that sort of thing. But there's the difference. Deledio is the starting point to bring with his run and delivery back through the corridor. I reckon he's done it 3 or 4 times already, and that's set them up for the forward movement. Maybe he is the bloke to be doing that role rather than just making him another midfielder.
That's right.
Second opponent now, Schofield's got the job on Riewoldt after McKenzie only lasted 12 minutes. Tapped down by Graham, and then there's a pack inside the centre circles going nowhere in a hurry. There'll be a secondary ball up. Haven't had one of those for a while after dominated proceedings in the opening 7 or 8 minutes.
To Daniel Connor's credit, he started this game really, really well. His kicking has been he's just penetrated lines.
Cox the flick down to Rosa. He's held up, has to get rid of it, trying to push it forward. Is young Shepherd for West Coast. And there'll be another ball up. Good tackling.
A good thing for Schofield that he can probably only get better, can't he?
Cox fighting hard with Graham. Cox taps it down and then eventually wins it himself. Hooks a right footer inside 50. Kennedy there had it fisted away very late. Critis a chance. He's tackled front on him from behind. They're ferocious, the Tigers. And they hold it up 45 out from the goal they're defending at the punt road end. What a start on Grandstand AFL. They lead by 31 points, 21 minutes gone, opening turn.
Bounce at centre half forward. A chance for the Eagles. They haven't had too many. Cox wins the hit out. Well, but it's pinched here by the Tigers. Through goes Connors again. And now Martin has had a starring first quarter. 20-metre hand pass up the ground. Well delivered to Collins. Here's Martin again. He's going to get a dozen in the first quarter. Kick from the wing. Not a great kick, though. It sits here for Waters. Just gets his kick away before he's knocked over by Riewoldt. Kicking goals and tackling. Punched forward by the Richmond defence. It comes the Eagles' way. The hand pass out wide. And this ball taken by McGinnity. A ball on the bounce to Lacroix, who goes round the corner and hits the goalpost for a behind. The Eagles 1-1. Tigers 6 goals won, and we played nearly 22 minutes. Nick Jewell.
Thanks, Drew. Dustin Martin, he just goes through traffic. He doesn't step around it. He moves the ball forward either by foot or with his body straight through the congestion. It's terrific for a young player.
He's a beauty. Newman kicks back into play, and he kicked to himself and he dropped a bit short. And the customary slips catch taken by Shannon Hearn of West Coast at right half forward, 60 from goal. We know he's a great kick. He's going to the punt road end. He's given a Shepherd. He'll play on. He'll load up. He'll kick long to the goal square. Ebert there, can't take it, kicking it over his head, an attempted effort by Mitch Brown of West Coast, but the Tigers have numbers and they punch it to the boundary in the forward pocket underneath the northern stand, and the Eagles trail 117 to 6-1-37.
In all this, Ben Cousins is getting a bit lost. He's playing at half back. I reckon he's only had one touch. Boundary throw in the forward pocket. The Eagles into attack. Cox works it to the back. There's a snap out of there. Won't quite make it and goes through for a behind off Ebert. So the Eagles go to 1-2, trailing Richmond. 6 goals won.
So Newman again, the skipper, third and the best and fairest last year. And a terrific servant for this footy club. Back into play. The MCC member side, it'll drop short. Shepherd's up. Can't quite hang on to the mark though for West Coast off hands. The youngster in his 6th game and spills over the line at half back for Richmond.
Wasn't a great choice then. It was a beautiful kick, Newman. Usually Fallon's the right bloke and kicks it accurately. Picked out one of the West Coast guys.
Cox muscling his opponent out, taps to the back. Good use of the body, McGinnity. Little give to Priddis. Hand pass. Well, was looking for someone for West Coast in Stevenson, but Riewoldt in the way to the Tigers by hand to Cousins, who's coming off for a rest. Taken out by Nason. He just blazes away indiscriminately. Waters has it covered at half-back for West Coast. Wants some support, so he swings it across to centre half-back over the head of Brown. And it's taken by Dalzell, the ex-line. Dalzell generally uses the ball well, kicks down the line, and the mark taken by Ebert for West Coast.
Here's kick to Cox, who marks in between wing and half forward. Great Southern stand side. Steers the pass, and Kennedy marks a kick and a half to goal from there. Josh Kennedy goes for the short pass and only gets it towards half forward flank where Nikoski, a late inclusion, takes the mark. Still 65 from goal. Told to move it on. He kicks towards full forward. Can the Eagles get a mark? Rosa up high. Didn't come down with the mark. Kennedy bursts through the pack, running away from goal. Any amount of Tigers back there in defence. Can they hold up the wall here against these Eagles forwards? Yes, they can, and the umpire comes in and will ball it up right in front of goal, 15 metres out. Richmond 37-8 at the 24.5-minute mark.
Eagles deep into attack, tapped down to Cox, kicks through traffic, but eventually got it run down. Or as he attempted to kick through traffic, players pile in on the football. There'll be another ball up, about 25 out from the Eagles' goal, punt road end. He's battling hard, Big Cox, trying to lift his team. Getting a lot of support at the moment, though, the 4-time All-Australian. The bounce. Fist down by Kennedy to Priddis. Flicks a hand pass to Rosa. Steadies on the left, Matt Rosa. And he has a ping but misses. Didn't steady enough. And it's a behind. 1-3-9 West Coast. Richmond 6-1-37. 25 gone, opening quarter. Grandstand AFL.
One West Coast bloke who's working exceptionally hard is Kennedy. He's just been exceptional in his work rate and getting the ball in the last few minutes.
Newman kicks in and Nason takes the mark out near the defensive 50 for the Tigers. Kick by Nason, who's played every game in his first season. Up short of centre wing. Well, it was 2 against him, but a good mark taken here by Wilkes for the Eagles. Short pass, misses the target with Priddis. Nason takes him. 2 blondies there together, and the ball over the boundary line. And a throw-in, won by Nason, who hardly looks big enough to be playing in the big league, but he's had a terrific year.
I was a bit jealous then, Drew. Both guys got a lot more hair than I've ever had. Boundary thrown, Cox in front. 2 hands it down. Cox will get one. He's doing well too. Play in front here. Leaning in was Vickery. giving away a bit of inexperience then. Handballs to Prentice, back to Cox, who runs behind him and then loads up, kicks inside 50. It's about 5-on-1 against Lacroix. Couldn't get a jump at that. Deledio marks for the Tigers. Look at this. White has got Aitridge on the southern side. Takes the mark on the wing. Plays on. Stabs towards half forward. And the mark is paid by to Graham. He gets the hand pass off now to Martin, who runs by, kicks inside 50, Riewoldt a running jump. Couldn't mark that one. Rosa at the 4 rows for the Eagles. Got the hand pass out to Mackenzie. Now to Josh Kennedy on the MCC members side. Not a great kick. Lacroix on his own, but grabs it in one hand. Cornered by Moore. Takes him on. Steadies on the right and snaps a magnificent goal. Class act, Mark Lacroix. Class act indeed. And the Eagles have their second 2-3-15. They're having to conjure something special at the moment, though. Richmond 6-1-37.
I think you summed it up perfectly there, Dan. Absolute class. Mark Lacroix is amazing when the ball's in his area. He rarely gets tackled, and he's able to do those impossible things and make them look pretty simple. But again, it's very, very scrappy by West Coast. You know, the ball tumbling along the ground. If they can clean up their disposal, West Coast, they've had enough of the footy to suggest that they can be right back in this game.
That's been their problem. I thought Kennedy's kick wasn't too bad. At least it encouraged Lacroix. It was in front of him, a small bloke. He could run on and find his own space. Well, it didn't hit him on the chest. It gave him the best chance forward.
Cox in the ruck. Up he goes. And, well, he's beaten again. And the youngster doing well for the Tigers in ruck. But the Eagles come out with it. At the back of the centre bounce, Rosa goes across towards the outer wing where Embley takes a chest mark. Just forward of the wing. Kick by Embley towards the 50. Lacroix on the lead. Moore with him. Takes him out of it. And Lacroix will take a free kick. And there's probably a little bit about what happened a minute ago about that, because he was a bit frightened of what Lacroix might do, so he interfered with him. This time he is about 3 steps in from the boundary line and about 55 from goal. Mark Lacroix, not the greatest kick, but it might work out all right for the Eagles. It's worked towards the front. Delidio's been excellent in defence. Cousins had a spell on the bench, gets a rare touch at centre half back and kicks the ball beautifully where the mark is taken by Farmer. Through the midfield go the Tigers. Got a punch forward. Is well played there by Wilkes. Stems the tide for the Eagles. Comes to Prentice. Hand pass to Rosa. Rosa's kick is smothered. And Richmond doing it at both ends. Martin has played a phenomenal quarter of football. He gets the hand pass away. And the Tigers go forward again through Vickery.
Vickery kicks to Collins at half forward. Now in the direction of Riewoldt again. Has he got it? No scope. They've got a late ball from behind. Did pretty well. Spills to the back. Hand pass comes out from Mackenzie of West Coast. On the southern side, Waters runs onto it. Got beaten? No. Hand pass comes out. Richmond have it. Hemmed in Collins for the Tigers. Defensive give to Martin. Another possession on the southern side. Loads up inside 50. Embley there. Backtracks. Got a front-on spoil against the former premiership teammate Cousins with the free kick. Dishes by hand to Waters. In short now to Cox.
Martin, 13 possessions in the opening quarter inside 30 minutes. Amazing. Here's Vickery, paddles to his own advantage, works it to McGuan, the hand pass up the ground to Edwards. Oh, the hand pass missed the target. Tambling has to run after it and become the tackler. He takes Wilkes to ground. They concede a little bit of ground, the Eagles. Mackenzie goes back with his hand pass, now to defensive goal square. It's overrun there by Ebert. A chance for the Tigers for a late one before the quarter-time siren. Hand pass comes back to Collins. He centres the ball on the bounce to Riewoldt. Can he get half a dozen? He juggles. He hand passes back outside the 50. Past King, who's taken out of it, but he hasn't got the ball. Jake King, the free kick. Can't make the distance from there. He passes. Oh, a little bit too high. McGuan lays a good tackle. McGuan in after it again. It's in the forward pocket for the Tigers. Natanui ducks a high tackle, just gets the hand pass away, and they're out of trouble. McGinnity.
And the kick comes in the direction of Brown. And Brown has it just inside the boundary. It's brother Nathan, of course. The Collingwood, there's the siren. The kick's a pretty vacant forward line. Great quarter by the Tigers. Their supporters will be happy with that. 6-1-37 West Coast. Fighting back a little bit late in the term, but still trail by 22 points. 2-3-15. It's been the Jack Riewoldt show. He's been outstanding. He's kicked 5 and a fantastic performance. Also kicking a goal, Dustin Martin, who's been the other star for Richmond in the opening term for West Coast. A goal each to their main goal scorers, LaCroix and Kennedy. But gee, they had to work hard for those goals. 6-1-37 Richmond, West Coast 2-3-15. Big game at Docklands. It's an 8-point game. We talked about the match last night being an 8-point game in Sydney. Got the Chocolates against an out-of-form Port Adelaide. 2 other teams out of form, the Bulldogs and Brisbane. Adam White covering that game for us today for Grandstand. Whitey, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dan. And big news here at Docklands. I can confirm that Jonathan Brown is not playing for Brisbane. He's out of the team and has been replaced by Troy Selwood. As you said, Dan, it is a very important game for both clubs. Brisbane trying to make sure they stay in touch with the 8, but for the Bulldogs, it's all about trying to stay in touch with the top 4. Stan Els will be watching it with me this afternoon. And Stan, with the news that Brown is out, and Brisbane any chance?
Well, it's enormously reduced, isn't it? Of course there are a chance. I mean, that's why I just sort of took a bit of a gulp. But the reality is it's going to be very, very difficult. I think the thing that will happen, though, is that quite often in those things that from the Western Bulldogs, they've not have to be of the mindset it's going to be easy because he's not there. Because these are the ones where if you just say, oh, no, we don't have to worry about somebody else, that person can just step up and bite you on the backside. I think that from the Western Bulldogs thing, it's not only about them, staying in tune with the finals, it's about getting back their form. And, I think that how much, and I'm sure their coach would be absolutely ropeable about the fact that these fast finishes where you just fail or things like that would be driving him crazy. They're just got to take this game on. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's one of those ones where, look, we respect our opposition and we know that, but for heaven's sake, it's what we do. And I think that's what I'll be looking for today from their point of view, that what they do, their attack on the ball and just taking those risks and taking people on and playing with that fantastic fluid type of footy that we know they're capable of. I think that from Brisbane's thing, I mean, I can just see that if this doesn't go for them today, I don't want to speak negative much, there's so much riding on this because Michael Voss took an enormous punt, didn't he, at the start of the year by going with a certain type of player who'd been there before to bring them in because he felt that window of opportunity was probably there and hasn't been dealt a kind hand in terms of injuries and stuff like that. But what we know, this football world will turn on you very quickly, and if they were to fail today and not win this game, I would imagine enormous pressure going to come on them.
Ramifications significant for the loser in this team, in this game this afternoon. And Dan, just repeating the big news, Jonathan Brown, the captain of Brisbane, is out of the team through injury. He's been replaced by Troy Selwood, so lots of pressure now on Brendan Favola for the Lions. Back to you.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Stan. Look forward to your comments right throughout the afternoon. Quarter time at the MCG, Richmond 6-1-37, West Coast 2-3-15. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio and Digital Radio.
When ABC TV news presenter Juanita Phillips found an old pressure cooker in an op shop, it changed her life. Juanita tells the story in her new ABC book that while trying to juggle kids, career, housework and marriage, she solved one dilemma by creating quick and delicious meals. A Pressure Cooker Saved My Life by Juanita Phillips. Available now from ABC shops, ABC centres, good bookstores and online.
Back at 6 for the man of the moment, Riewoldt. Open goal, Tigers away.
Juggle in front, Riewoldt, he's got it again. 3 touches before he pulled in the mark. The kick to the city end is his second goal. Kick by Tuck to Riewoldt again. On the chest, he marks in front. This could be a hat-trick for Jack Riewoldt in the opening 10 minutes. There's the shot for goal. He's got 3.
Inside 50, go to Riewoldt. Why not? That's why you go to him. Another mark of Jack Riewoldt. He's putting on a clinic. For goal number 4 inside 11 minutes. You betcha. Kennedy's there. He just grabs it into an open goal and Josh Kennedy kicks it.
Pull forward, Riewoldt again. He's got it again. For number 5. Yes, sir. What a display by Jack Riewoldt.
What a clinic by Jack Riewoldt, as Drew said in the opening term. 5 goals puts him in front in the Coleman at the moment, but of course Pavlich and Favola, the leaders going into this round, still to play today. And the Tigers 6-1-37, West Coast 2-3-15 before Adam Ramanauskas and David Parkin. Jared Cameron looking after the stats today. Jared.
At quarter time, West Coast lead the inside 50 count 14 to 13, but West Coast haven't taken a mark inside 50 and have scored only 2 goals from their 14 entries. Richmond have taken 4 marks inside 50 and scored 6 goals, all 4 of those marks to Riewoldt. Individually, Dustin Martin, 14 disposals, 6 kicks and 8 hand passes. Riewoldt, along with his 5 goals, he's got 8 disposals, 5 kicks, 3 marks, 6 contested possessions. Edwards, 6 possessions. Dan Connors in his comeback game, 5 possessions. For West Coast, Embley, 12 disposals, Prittis, 10, Cox, 9 and Waters, 8.
Thanks, Jared. Well, boys, what a quarter of footy that was by the Tigers.
Oh, look,
exciting.
Fantastic. And it was, all from a very uninspiring start. The first 5 minutes of that quarter was... I was waiting for the umpire to bounce the ball, actually, because there was just nothing happening. But then Richmond just went bang, bang, bang. And what it was is they were so efficient. They worked the ball back through the corridor and got Riewoldt into one-on-one situations. Hence, he got those 5 goals. But it's a great contrast in styles. West Coast are a bit scrubby. A few of their kicks going along the ground. They had to work really hard, where Richmond were very, very efficient. Then that's clear as on the stat sheet. Dustin Martin has 14 possessions, 10 handball receives, and really worked hard and was really effective with his disposal. Then on the other hand, Andrew Embley has 12 and was basically ineffective.
Totally. And I think when you look at those stats, Richmond running at 76% efficiency with their disposal, 67, and a combination too with lots more tackling from the Richmond Footy Club.
Bounce to start the second quarter. Graham goes up in ruck and beats Natanui. Can the Tigers get the next touch and get it out of there? A real scrap at ground level. The Eagles have it. It comes out to Hearn, but he goes without it. Umpire will have to pull it up again, surely. No, he's going to pick someone for holding. Well, Richmond player went in there, and he's going to be the last up, and he's going to be penalised. King went in, got the football. Selwood wins the free kick. Goes the hand pass to Hearn. He kicks down towards the forward pocket, a leap over the back, unsuccessful, and it comes to Deledio, whose hand pass straight over the boundary line and out of play. Nick Jewell.
Drew, quite dull down here, so much so the lights have been turned on. Feels like a bit of a twilight game, even though it's the early start.
Nearly the minute played at the start of the second quarter. At the boundary throw-in, Graham wins the hit-out, straight back towards the boundary line, and over it goes again for another stoppage.
True, some interesting news on the Dream Team points. Martin, 48. Riewoldt, 63, but had 45 in the first 10.5 minutes of the match.
World record.
For West Coast, Embley and Cox, 39 each. Eagles into attack. In front of the old cricketers go to the MCT member side. Natanui taps it down, straight down to Tuck. Does well while being tackled to get a hand pass out. Intercepted by Ebert, then Rose's kick was smothered. Taken by Edwards and half-back for Richmond. Kicks in the direction of Riewoldt. Late spoil by Schofield. At the full, King runs onto it. Hand pass on the up, but slipping over Connors in the middle. Riewoldt there again. Socked forward for the Tigers, but only as far as West Coast, and they do well to mop it up across half-back. Bo Waters receives. He received from Stevenson. He switches wide now to Wilkes. Half back, MCC member side. Bo Wilkes in short to Prittis. Late ball put on him by Jackson, his opponent today. Jackson might have been tagging him. Prittis slipped over. Jackson kept his feet, so wins the contest hands down. Kicks inside 50. Waters there. From behind though. Got comprehensively outmarked by Collins of the yellow and black side. And Andy Collins, slight angle, 30 out, can kick the Tigers 7th.
It was just a poor decision by Bo Wilkes here on the half-forward flank. He went to Prittis one-on-one with Jackson right on his tail, and Jackson was able to spoil quite comfortably there. So Wilkes probably just needed to go long up the line there.
So Andy Collins in his 18th game. Kicks off the side of the boot. And he really didn't show a lot of confidence in that. It's lucky to squeeze through for a behind on the right-hand side. An opportunity lost. Tigers 6-2-38. West Coast 2-3-15 on Grandstand AFL.
Hearn to kick in for the Eagles. Eagles going left to right on your radio dial in the second quarter towards the city end. Hearn kicks to himself and then launches a bomb. 65 metres. A couple of Tigers might have spoiled each other, but it comes to the back to Deledio. He pumps the Tigers inside the forward 50, but the defensive mark has been taken here by Waters, who is squaring the ball, goes for a lazy little bounce and a stroll, fires away the hand pass to Stevenson, who advances the ball to Ebert, running past. Waters again, kicked by Waters over the centre of the ground, and well delivered. And the mark's taken by Rosa. He kicks to centre half forward. Beautifully delivered on this occasion. McKinley on the paint of 50, right in front.
Just about to go on the scorebook, isn't he? I don't think I've seen him. I think he's been on the ground for most of the time. He might have touched the ball once up until this point. Zero up until this point.
He's kicked 11 goals, 11 this season, Ben McKinley. So I don't know whether that tells us that he's going to kick this from outside the 50. Hardly any breeze. Grey and overcast, lights on in the middle of the afternoon at the MCG. Got pretty good distance. He's got good accuracy. Came up about a centimetre short, and it comes off the knuckles and through for a minor score. The Eagles go to 2 goals 4, and Richmond 6-2, and we've played 4 minutes of the second quarter.
Newman to inbound. It's from the northeastern suburbs. Ben McKinley from Yalambee. He kicks back into play. Goes to the outer side, half-back flank. Hearn there, slapped down by Schofield for West Coast. Rosa there on the outer side. Defensive hand pass from Stevenson, no good. Tambling, he's mown down from behind. Ball jarred free. Waters wrestling forward, but outnumbered. Tigers win at Cochin. Hand pass comes out towards Collins. Slapped on by Connors. Inside attacking 50. Richmond player sat on illegally. It's Little Nathan. He'll take it at half forward. 55 from goal. He'll handball quickly. Tigers a chance through Jackson from 55. It's an open goal. He has an almighty ping at that one, but misses to the right-hand side. And the Tigers are 6-3-39. The Eagles 2-4-16.
West Australian double today. After this, the broadcast from Subiaco with Fremantle taking on St Kilda. The Eagles squaring it up in defence from one side of the ground to the other. Ball taken across towards Stevenson, who hoists it over half-back. Mark taken by Rosa. Hand pass into Embley. He runs to centre wing and steers a good pass. Lacroix on the chest, marks inside the centre square. Kick by Lacroix. A pretty open forward line. McKinley tries to haul it in one-handed. Can't take the mark. He's taken to ground. They swamp him. Now, how do you see this, umpire? No, you can't. He couldn't breathe, let alone get the ball out.
Was it Wills who wrote the rules of our game? Talked about something about giving the player who's going for the ball every opportunity.
They changed the law,
Why would you go for the ball, though? Why wouldn't you have just run second and control the game?
Free kick to Deledio.
Deledio runs across half-back. It's a dangerous kick. Just comes off to Connors. Hand pass to Deledio, cruising by. He kicks to the wing. It's pretty poor attempt. Slapped on by Mackenzie of West Coast. Hand pass came out from Rosa. Running by is Lacroix. He's bowled over as he kicks towards McKinley. Late ball put on by Moore. Down to Graham. Hand pass to Moore. Feeds over the top to Newman. Now to King at half-back. He goes back to the skipper. Wants to work his way through. Pops a hand pass to Tambling on the member side. Cuts inside a flat-footed Natanui, who tackles him late. Forces a wobbly ball to the wing. Cochin's there. Got tackled, lost it. Good play by Rosa to slap it on. Wanted Prittis. He lays a tackle in the middle. Tigers emerge with numbers. One way, then the other. Over the top, Deledio did very, very well. Hand pass to Cochin. Back to Deledio. Now to Tuck. Forward of the centre. Great kick, Tuck. Disposal better. Collins on his own, marking again at half forward. Virtually the same spot he had a shot a couple of minutes ago, but shanked it.
Just a really important one-on-one contest by Richard Tambling in the centre corridor there. He was able to win it, get the clean hands away. Shane Tuck, who's been criticised, I guess, for his disposal, just a beautiful kick to Collins.
Just threw it back under, just like his old man would have done.
Left half forward. Can Collins make amends here? Crease the Tigers' lead. He can. He can. 29-point advantage for the Tigers. On Grandstand AFL with Dan Lonigan, Drew Morford, Adam Ramanauskas, David Parker, Nick Jewell and Jared Cameron. 7-3-45. West Coast in trouble at 2-4-16.
I'm in a nice critical mood today. I've been overworked this week. I've been watching Natanui for the last 7 or 8 minutes. He has no idea where to run. The game goes around him and past him and by. In the aerial, he's gone for 2 aerial marks. He's been taken out by somebody just laying a little bump on him at the appropriate time. Not illegal, just hit him. He wasn't prepared, fell out of the way and couldn't compete. He has so much to learn about playing the game.
Yeah, sure has, Dave. And he's in the ruck at the moment with Cox sitting down. 45-16, the Tigers. Here's the bounce in the middle. Natanui goes up and he's beaten by Vickery. A high kick comes out Richmond's way. Out in front of Cousins. He gets a bad bounce. It lands for Tuck. He bunts the ball on. Big chance here for the Tigers. Oh, it comes out to Tambling. 55 out. Tambling to the goal square. Nason is there. The whistle's gone, though. Whistle's gone. It's going to be an Eagles free kick. Come way back outside the 50.
Can we say, we just watched it out, didn't we? He tracked that ball out to the wing, down the half forward, into the forward pocket, when what he had to do as a big man was run straight down the corridor and be there to defend it.
Exactly.
Had no idea.
So Wilkes with the free kick for the Eagles at half-back flank. He kicks a zooming ball into towards the middle of the ground. Oh, gee.
Well done.
He did well there, Farmer, to get a fingernail on the ball and knock it to Richmond's advantage. It comes to Jackson. He sweeps the hand pass to Deledio, who couldn't take it cleanly. Tambling's in there. Can get the ball. Back to Jackson from the centre. Kicked by Jackson, deep inside 50. Nason the only hope again for the Tigers. He's caught behind. It's worked towards the boundary line by Brown, who does well. Finds Prittis by hand.
Prittis on the southern side. Delivers further up the ground. Hand pass Ebert. Inside to Brett Jones. Now to Wilkes. Back to Ebert. Upended. Kick to half forward. Not great. Farmer leads in the race. Got supporting Graham by hand. Now to Deledio. Back to Big Graham cruising across half back. He's cornered and indecisive. But Richmond have had numbers everywhere. Good play Jackson. Feeds to Cochin, who'll weave his way through the maze. He's so good at it with that crouch running style. Kicks across the face. A one-on-one out here on the MCC member side. McGinnity didn't have possession. And the opposite number 35, White, gives away a free kick. McGinnity for West Coast. Dabs in short. Behind the centre circles. Taken by Premiership player Brett Jones. Kicks inside 50. Kennedy right out of that terrible kick. Camped in front. Good mark taken by McGuire. Handballs to Edwards. Races away. Has a player on his own marking in the centre. And the Tigers a chance to set up again. And it is Ben Griffiths in his second game. Kicks inside 50. Riewoldt there. Knocked away by Schofield. Schofield lays the tackle. Close to the boundary. Riewoldt tries to keep it alive and it spills off hands out of bounds in the forward pocket at the punt road end on the southern side. Tigers by 29 points.
Adam, you picked it every time because Richmond's first thought is to come back inside. West Coast's first thought is to go to a safe alternative on the out.
Natanui wins the hit out, but it's socket goalwards by Riewoldt. Get another kick. Or it might have been in the back there by White. Play on, said the umpire. The hand pass comes to Jones of the Eagles. Short pass, and he finds Rosa with his hand pass over the top to Wilkes. Up the ground. Close to the centre wing. Moore puts a good pressure on and clears a path for King, who does particularly well. King shares the ball with McGuire. A beautiful kick by King. Finds Tambling a mile in the clear inside the centre square. They've switched play towards the great southern stand side. He's running and bouncing away from Stevenson. Gets the hand pass into Martin. A little hand pass to Cousins. Back to Martin. Oh, this boy's a beauty. His pass off the left looking for Riewoldt. It's chopped off by Hearn at centre half-back.
Should have made more of that. Richmond got themselves a bit caught up. Nice kick to Nikoski over the top to Brown. Sits for him at half forward. Brown curls a kick around the body under no real pressure. And really their disposal is atrocious. Out of bounds inside, attacking 50. Great southern stand side. Nick Jewell.
That's when Parko gets a chance. I'd like him to expand on Richard Tambling's decision making. At times he just makes some bizarre decisions going forward.
Yeah, we'll put that on notice. Tapped down by Vickery, but sharked by Prittis to an open goal. He skidded it home from the forward pocket, making something out of nothing. He read Vickery's hand expertly then, Prittis. And West Coast get one against the Tide. 3-4-22. Richmond 7-3-45. 12 minutes second quarter.
I'll go back to that. Yeah, but Prittis is the interesting one to me. Down here in front of us against Martin, you might remember in that little contest down here, was totally and utterly bamboozled by a player of significantly less stature and experience. And then he turns around and does something quite incredible like that. I think the difference between his best and his worst Prittis is far too great. You talk about Tambling, Nick, you're absolutely right. I mean, the first decision, like in most things in sport, is your best thought. Your best thought's the best decision. He needed to go out, but he was trying to draw and pull. In the finish, he allowed Hearn to get across and cut off what would have been an easy kick to Riewoldt. You're absolutely right.
Natanui to the bench. Cox back on the ground in the ruck. Here's the bounce and Cox wins it. So the Eagles look better when he's in there. But it's taken away here by Vickery for Richmond. He concedes some ground back to Newman. He's run down from behind and nearly caught. Gets the hand pass away to Jackson. Further afield. Ashbury comes out square and the ball here is taken by Farmer from centre wing. He kicks long. Riewoldt one out with his man. He marks again.
that's the difference there, Drew. It's the first decision is to go long, and it doesn't allow the West Coast defenders to get back. Richard Tambling, he took that ball into centre square earlier, but he ran diagonally. He ran toward the boundary line instead of running towards the goal.
Riewoldt is about 35 metres out from goal. He kicked 5 in the first quarter. He misses to the left-hand side. His first miss, so he's blotted his copybook. Richmond 7 goals, 4-46 lead the Eagles 3-4-22, and we played nearly 14 minutes of the second quarter.
Well, Delidio's been the master. He's already had 7 to this stage in this quarter, 10 or 11 minute mark of this particular quarter. He's been the one who's been setting up magnificently. Nanadui 1 possession only. Cox has none this quarter, had 9 in the first.
Hearn, long kick towards the half-back flank. It's fisted out by McGuan. Good roving Scott Selwood to Mitch Brown. By hand to Wembley. Another hand pass to Dalziel. Good kick into the middle of the ground to Kennedy. Cruising by, receiving a hand pass McGinnity for West Coast. Kicks to half forward to an open forward line. LeCras marks. Plays on. Dabs in short. Loose marking by the Tigers and on his own McKinley. 40 from goal, slight angle, left forward pocket at the City end.
I just really found him in the finish, Adam. I don't know if McCoskey had run like he'd done a 130-metre run to get to the goal square, free and clear by 40 metres, and LeCras kick beautifully got to his mate now, but he could have launched a long one and had a shot from 5 metres out.
Ben McKinley, leading goal kicker in 2008 for West Coast, leans in and misses to the left-hand side. Need to kick those. 3-5-23. Richmond have doubled their score. 7-4-46, 15 gone second quarter. This is Grandstand AFL.
Oh, the kick in just finds the mark, and McGuan dives forward to take the mark from about an 18-metre kick. Squares the ball out to Moore. And more short passes, and King has it at right half back for the Tigers.
You can see, Drew, this is the Hardwick Hawthorn way. Patient build up out of the back half. They just use it short and safely before they start to run it when they get out near the 50.
Now they've worked it towards the broadcast side to McGuan, who kicks to a contest. Cox is there for the Eagles. A clash of players, no mark taken. It spills to Jackson, who can't get boot to ball. He's caught holding the ball. Tackler Dalziel. Kick by Dalziel inside the 50, out wide towards the boundary line, and the Tigers skipper gets there to put a knuckle on the ball, and he sees it over.
Is that why he hasn't gone forward, Adam, Dalziel? Because he's a prolific getter, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's got to be something to do with his finishing or decision making.
Chance here for the Eagles from the boundary throw in, but it comes down to more of the Tigers. Cochin weaves through them, gets the hand pass up to Collins. He further hand passes away to King. King runs forward to the wing and kicks down the line, but he's kicked it out of bounds. He gets it, but he butchers it.
Well, Cochin should have been pretty annoyed with him. He had a long look inside. Cochin had worked over about 50 metres to get him almost square inside. Just need to launch it with his left hand.
Left-hand handball.
Well, I just think he couldn't do it. He said, that's a bit far for me. I have a kick.
Good chase by McGinnity, but it's mucked up by Hearn. He kicks to Cox on the bounce and thought that was out, and he stopped, taken by Vickery. Inside 50, Riewoldt! Oh, Dean Cox, hang your head. You never stop until it's all over. He thought that ball was out, and he allowed Vickery to win it. He's given up the ghost, and Vickery popped it to the hot spot, and he's always going to outmark his opponents. Riewoldt in this sort of mood, and he's done it again. Left half forward.
You called it down exactly. That's the way. It's going to cost them probably a goal.
Looking for his sixth. 5-1 today for Jack Riewoldt, the king of Tasmania. He's not abdicating the throne. What a day he's having. His third 6-goal haul, and we're not even for the season. We're not even at the halfway mark of the match. 8-4-52. West Coast 3-5-23.
Riewoldt and James Podsiadly are probably the two best contested marks in the competition at the moment. Riewoldt is just so good at knowing where the ball's going to drop, and he protects the drop space. So he can see it, okay, the ball's going to drop to the left of me. He doesn't get there until that last split second where he just pushes off his opponent, and then he's still got a bit of space just to fall into the footy so his opponent can't get there.
Yeah, that's a good call because his marks have been behind, to the left, to the right, and in front. So you're absolutely right. It's a good call. And it's a wonderful capacity. I mean, Carey, some of the great players had that ability to read it so well off the boot.
Here's the bounce in the middle. Vickery wins, comes down Richmond's way. Hacked out of there by White. Doesn't go any distance. Taken by Jones for the Eagles. Sweeps a hand pass to Dalziel. Concedes some ground. Taken here by Selwood. Oh, he puts his teammate under the thumb. King gets away with a tackle that carried his opponent forward. No, he didn't get away with it. The whistle has gone. It's going to be an Eagles free kick. That's going to be King's free kick. It's forward of the wing.
Geez, most other umpires, I feel, would have called that in the back.
Absolutely in the back, no doubt about it. He's slow, Ebert, and that's one of his real problems. He deserved to get caught, but the tackle was incorrect.
Little hand pass by King, finds Cochin. He penetrates the 50 again. Riewoldt was there, but it went straight past him. Here's a chance for Farmer, but he can't handle the ball. It spills off him over the boundary line in the forward pocket. And Richmond 8-4 to 3 goals 5.
Sorry, Drew, but Hearn's doing his absolute best to get Riewoldt. He's coming backwards and sideways. There's the bloke in the hole now, and he's going to get Riewoldt before it's all over, I'm telling you now.
Cox rakes it down. It's Robo by Vickery to Nason. Did he mark that? Threw it on the boot. Nason was in front, and the dreadlocked Holiday takes it. Richmond a chance to kick their ninth.
You keep thinking he's playing, not in the under I saw the under 18s the other day. They're all beating him. He looks like he's playing for Victoria in the under 16s, hasn't he? Size and shape, but he's been good over many weeks now.
Ben Nason for his first goal today. Big roar, he gets it. They love him. He's done it. Gee, they're in trouble, West Coast. 9-4-58 to 3-5-23. 20 minutes travel, third quarter.
They're in a lot of trouble, West Coast, but I think John Worsfold will be very, very disappointed in two of Dean Cox's efforts. One out here, right in front of us on the wing, and then out of that ruck contest to let a second-year player just basically push him aside and clear the football. That's very disappointing for, I guess, a guy of Dean Cox's stature to allow that to happen.
I must say he looks disinterested, but there's no vigour, is there, aggression in his play today. It just looks like he's going through. Hey, he's a great player, and you'll find the ball a fair bit, but he's not having any kind of real impact on the game for West Coast.
They were so good against Geelong last week, West Coast.
Oh, Cox wins the hit out this time, down to Ebert, but he took a step too far, and his kick was smothered in the middle. It comes Richmond's way. Here they come again. King gets the hand pass to Cochin. Back it goes. It's not King, it's Edwards. Edwards kicks out wide towards the forward pocket. Don't know why he went way out there. And it runs on and goes out of bounds. Good 40 metres away from goal.
The name of Ebert, he's not quite got the classic decision-making and execution like the Eberts that we know, isn't he? Right. He is slow over the ground. He is slow to make decisions.
And that's something he's going to have to work on to be a good midfielder in the competition.
Absolutely.
Cox takes clean possession in the ruck, but he's kicked back towards centre wing. Not good for the team, but tidied up by Prittis, who gets the hand pass forward to McKinley, who goes for a bounce. He's 70 from goal. He squares the ball in, taken by Selwood. Hand pass on to Rosa at centre half forward. What sort of a kick's that? Just up and down in the spot, and it's a Richmond mark back there to McGuan. That was the worst kick I've seen all season.
Come out here, Rose, and have a talk to me.
Well, there was a lack of vision. He didn't realise it was a player so close. He was just trying to avoid having the kick smothered for mine, and it was a horror, giving his forwards no chance. King marks, kicks to White on the juggle, outmarks McGinnity. They're having a good battle, these two, the 235s on the members' wing. He's in board with his pass, and it's taken by Deledio, who'll feed and farm a long hand pass to the edge of the centre square to the skipper Newman. On the left, kicks towards Cousins, Natanui there. Did he knock away late? He did knock away late. Collected by McKinley at halfback for West Coast, by hand to Prittis. Now on the bounce. Taken by Dalziel. Millie runs into Jones, who he handballed it to. Handballs in the direction of Stevenson. He's met late by Nason. He got a little kick in. Play on the southern side. He received the hand pass from Cousins. Nice kick off the edge of the boot. Nason in traffic. Inside 50. Kicks to full forward, but Cox gets back. And he takes a good mark with his chest for West Coast, who trail by 35 points.
Good chase down by Nason, and then double back to get in the hole. Cox a short pass across in front of goals, finds Bo Wilkes. His pass to the 50, to a contest, comes to the front. King running away from goal, picks out Deledio off the left. An underground kick went about 4 metres, and shocker. Tied it up by Tambling, back to Deledio. He kicks to the goal square, and a Richmond mark right in front. The mark taken by Graham. That's Vickery, is it?
Cox is carrying on. He got back and got in the hole. He was putting his hands up, pushing back on his opponent from behind. But Vickery came across, the third man across. It was beautifully judged. Real Royce Hart, the Richmond people will remember that.
And it's just the kick. It's just the kick to the most dangerous area.
Yeah,
it just makes defenders so nervous when the ball gets put to that area.
Graham played a big part in that.
Yeah, he was there for just his second goal for the season. Tyrone Vickery, point-blank range, steers it home. Everyone's in on the act for the Tigers. Surely they'll win their second game of the year. They go to 10-4, not quite out. Eagles 3-5.
And again, it was another poor decision by Bo Wilkes. The kick was to another 50-50 target. I think what West Coast try to do is they try to hit that perfect pass all the time when there's nothing wrong with kicking it long down the line and starting again with when the ball goes out of bounds. But it's they try and make the impossible kicks. And I think there's a new illness that's came in, and it's called Melbourneitis, because there's a lot of West Coast players that just seem to disappear.
Not too good, are they? That closest Will Schofield's got to Riewoldt was when he's running off. He gave him a decent bump when he's running off to the interchange.
They've got those three quality forwards, West Coast. They need to use the ball better if they can. Natanui climbs in and wins it down as he can. Tigers try and win it. Pritis, though, eventually wrenches it away. Oh, he's dragged down from behind. How slow are you, Matthew? Oh, how lucky are you to get one in the back? Thought that was a legitimate tackle. He kicks wide. Ashby knocks away. From Mitch Brown. I thought that was a free kick or a mark.
Well, it was. He conceded it.
Ashby's there. He lost it. Wins it again. Rosa received a little hand pass from Brown. He grubbers it about 5 metres. Ball in dispute on the outer wing. Edwards is there. He's bumped into it. And he may have got one in the back. Edwards will take a free kick. Richmond supporters pretty happy about that.
The way the rival by that Richmond player in the contest for the mark, he conceded. He went still the mark. Thought he might have got 50.
On the southern side. Oh, Edwards an undergrounder. Luckily Cousins is there to take it. He's under pressure, got a hand pass to Tuck. Feeds cleverly over the top now to Collins. Connor spins around one, spins around two. Gets his left foot to ball. Inside 50, McKenzie's there. He's dragged down from behind. He dropped up like a hot spud. 40 out from the goal. They're defending at the punt road, and they are under tremendous siege here, West Coast. Comes out now to Martin. Bouncing ball. It'll wobble the wrong side behind. 10-5, 65 the Tigers. West Coast 3-5, 23 at the 26-minute mark.
Thought he might have released it inside to Andrew Collins there. He was in very good position inside the corridor. He got a bit full of himself to get it away then.
West Coast player down too. It's centre half back.
4 goals to 1 this quarter for the Tigers, who've gone right on from their first quarter onslaught. They kick in with distance. Delidio up. Can't take the mark. Comes down to the front where it's taken by Stevenson. His hand pass back. Wilkes down the line towards centre wing. And a good mark taken by Brown. Mitchell Brown to the Eagles. Twin brothers at the Pies. Short pass. Just arrives with Rosa just in time.
Bo Waters was the player in a bit of trouble. Gets up okay now, I think.
Kick by Rosa into the centre square. Beautifully delivered. An absolute pud was dropped there by Wilkes, and the Tigers have it. Cousins with his chin up running style has a bounce near the circles, cornered, so he kicks out wide. Not a bad disposal, and he's found Collins. Kick by Collins to centre half forward. Oh, this is too easy. Farmer takes an uncontested mark 49 metres out.
He was standing there waving for that kick for 5 or 6 seconds, and everybody in the opposition ignored him.
Mitch Farmer, 1 goal 4 for the season. This will test him from about 51 metres. What a day it is so far for the Tigers. Kick by Farmer. He's got some distance on it. Oh, Natanui gets back there. Did he touch it? He may not have. It's a goal. And Natanui had an air swing.
Well, Natanui's argued that, but what Natanui needed to do like 30 seconds before was to run like hell, get on the line and come out of the ball instead of running backwards, but the last minute he decided I better go and make contact. But it's just pathetic decision making.
Exactly. That is probably Oh, that's a schoolyard area, really,
ABC,
isn't it?
ABC, that's prep grade.
Yeah, because you learn that as a junior footballer, that as a ruckman, if there's a kick at 50 metres out or wherever it is, the ruckman's always standing on the goal line, isn't he?
And Adam, he would have got it easily.
Easily.
He nearly got it going back the wrong way with his fist stuck out 3 metres short of the line. Had he been on the line going up, probably would have swallowed it, probably could have marked it.
5 goals to 1 this quarter for the Tigers. Good tap down by Graham. Richmond couldn't quite take that one away from the centre clearance, and it's held up. Jackson, a slight fumble. It's thrown up inside the circles. Natanui there, got a decent tap down. They're getting killed in there, aren't they? Comes out to Cousins. West Coast would love him playing for them as he spiral punts inside 50. Nearly a one-hander. Not having a good day last year's runner-up for the Eagles. Now he takes it, but he's mown down. The Richmond tackling brilliant. There's the siren. What a half by the Tigers. Gee, they were good against Port a fortnight ago. Their supporters, a standing ovation. A standing ovation. They haven't had a lot to cheer about. But this might be the rebirth of the Tigers.
Just have a listen to this.
It's like it's half-time in a grand final. They're up by 48 points. It's round 12. They won 1 game. And they are blowing the West Coast Eagles away. They're insipid, the Eagles, today. They've been pretty insipid most of the season. 11-5-71. West Coast 3-5-23. And in that quarter, Richmond, as they run off with a huge pep in their step, 5-4-1-2. And Jack Riewoldt has kicked 6. 5 in the first term, won that quarter. He's kicked 6-1 for the day. Singles to Farmer, Collins, Vickery, Martin, who's had the ball in a string, and Nason. For West Coast, singles to Lacroix, Britis and Kennedy, but gee, it's been hard work for them to score those goals. They trail by 48 points.
And down on the fence, a proud Tiger, Nick Jewell. How does that feel?
Oh, fantastic. Goosebumps down here as a long-suffering supporter, I guess. I wrote down during that quarter, Angus Graham and Tyrone Vickery absolutely working over Natanui and Cox. Probably not since Greg Deere or perhaps Mark Lee days that the Tigers had a ruck that they can, not saying these two are going to be superstars of the game, but the way they've played today, they've just given the on-balls first use and been damaging around the ground. It's fantastic to see as a long-time supporter.
Well, it'll be interesting to me because West Coast, if you had a reaction to that, they were all charging and prancing off. Cousins stopped them. You saw that. Cousins stopped them about 20 metres from the boundary line, settled them down and spoke to them, saying, hey, don't let's get caught up in all this, mate. We've done half a game. If you were the West Coast now, I don't think they're capable of doing it, mind you. That would have irritated me beyond all capacity as a player of the opposition coach. I would have been laying it to West Coast now, and we'll see whether they've got any real character of war as a result of what Richmond were getting as they left the ground. It'll be really interesting to see that.
Before we hear from Adam Ramanauskas and get some news and sport, we better find out what's happening at the Docklands. Brisbane without Jonathan Brown taking on the Western Bulldogs. Adam White and Stan Elves covering that for Grandstand.
I'll tell you what, Dan, the Bulldogs started really, really well. They kicked 2 goals in the first 3 minutes. Redden's just got one back for the Lions, but after 9 minutes in the opening quarter, it is the Western Bulldogs 2-1-13 and the Lions 1-1-7. So, as I said, a bright opening, and Barry Hall, is he about to take a mark? He is inside 50. So a chance for another goal to the Western Bulldogs.
Thanks, Adam. We'll hear more from you right throughout the afternoon, Rama. Great half by the Tigers.
The Tigers were terrific. They ran and took risks. Yes, they made a few errors, but you could see what they were trying to do and then what they were, I guess, the game style that they're trying to achieve for years to come. On the other hand, West Coast were just scrappy. They were just a very scrappy football a team. They made a lot of mistakes. I think a few of the West Coast players just sometimes forget the basics of football, and that's keeping it off the opposition, but also helping your teammates. Not enough of the West Coast players actually run to support their teammate, and for me that sort of shines through. You look at, I guess, the handball receives here, 87 to Richmond, 63 to West Coast. So just don't run hard enough to help. But then let's talk about the Tigers. Well, they've ran to receive handballs from their teammates. They've ran to protect their teammate by shepherding. They've tackled hard. They've got the ball in quickly to give their key forward in Riewoldt an opportunity to take marks. He's taken 5 contested marks for his 6 goals, so he's been unbelievable in that area of the game. One thing that Richmond are going to have to continue to work on, and this will come as the years go on, is that they need to find 2, 3, 4 avenues to goal. Because Riewoldt's going to be a very, very good footballer, but you look at all the very, very good teams, and they've got numerous avenues to goal.
Half-time at the MCG. It's Richmond 11-5-71, belting the West Coast Eagles 3-5-23, and the Tigers were the favourites going into the match, and the latest betting odds have them at $1.02, and the Eagles at over, $6 or $7? So you'd say Richmond very, very warm favourites, and I know quite a few Richmond supporters. I played trivia most Thursday nights, Drew, and they were
they'd have a fill-up.
Pretty confident, pretty comfortable today. They'll be having a pretty good day and could be a very good night. But the Tigers up by 8 goals at half-time, 11-5-71. West Coast 3-5-23. It's a big day of footy. Our twilight match today. 2 top 4 sides, Fremantle and St Kilda. We'll keep updating the Bulldogs in Brisbane. But let's hear the latest now from ABC News. Good afternoon to Anna Walker.
Good afternoon, Dan. Thank you. A repatriation service has been held for the 2 Brisbane-based soldiers killed in Afghanistan last week. Relatives and friends of 21-year-old Jacob Morland and 25-year-old Darren Smith watched as their caskets were carried from a plane at the RAAF base at Amberley. The families of both soldiers offered each other condolences after an official service that was also attended by soldiers from the 2nd Combat Engineers Regiment. The regiment's chaplain, Padre Lyle Carl, says it's an important time for the soldiers and their families.
It's obviously a sad time for the regiment because we're welcoming home 2 mates who were killed in action in Afghanistan in rather dreadful circumstances. For us as a regiment and for their families, it's a welcome back home onto Australian soil.
Federal Government frontbencher Lindsay Tanner has dismissed calls for Labor to call a double dissolution election over its climate change policy. The former opposition leader Malcolm Turnbull says the Prime Minister has shown a lack of courage by shelving his emissions trading scheme. Mr Tanner has told the ABC's Insiders program the government has done all it can to get the policy through the Senate, and he says there's no guarantee it would pass a joint sitting of Parliament.
Double dissolution is no automatic solution. It's quite possible, given the big gap between us and the Greens and the Liberals in the Senate, we could win an election in the House of Reps with a double dissolution and still not have the numbers for a joint sitting.
Rescued solo sailor Abby Sunderland has used her blog to hit back at her critics. Sophie Giles reports the teenager has also taken a swipe at the media.
The comments were written by the 16-year-old while she was on board the French fishing boat that rescued her in the Indian Ocean yesterday. On the site, the teenager shrugs off suggestions she was unprepared and too young to be attempting the round-the-world voyage. She writes, "Since when does age create gigantic waves and storms?" She also says the media were only eager to pounce on her story once something bad had happened. However, she's told the ABC she's grateful for the boat that came to her rescue.
They went really far out of their way to come pick me up, so really, really grateful that they did that.
The Federal Transport Minister, Anthony Albanese, says it's reasonable for Australian taxpayers to foot the bill for her rescue. He says he'd expect the same of other countries if an Australian was in danger.
Tours of New Zealand's Franz Joseph Glacier have been suspended after an Australian man died while on a guided hike. The ABC's Philippa McDonald reports from Auckland.
The Australian man who died hiking the Franz Joseph Glacier has been named as 38-year-old New South Wales man John Prusis. Police say he slipped while walking along the path at the bottom of a crevasse. He was airlifted to the Franz Joseph Township but could not be revived. All tours are now cancelled at the glacier, and guides have expressed shock and distress at Mr. Paris's death. Philippa McDonald, ABC News, Auckland.
The Northern Territory Department of Resources says 70,000 litres of unleaded fuel has spilled at the Alkine refinery on the Gove Peninsula. The mine's tank farm infrastructure dates back to the 1960s, and it's believed the leak was caused by equipment failure. The department's Alistair Trier says the spill is significant. He says the department is investigating the incident, and Rio Tinto has been instructed to make immediate action to contain the fuel.
Digging recovery pits, so that's digging pits around the area for the fuel to leak into and for them to remove the fuel out of the environment to investigate the integrity of all their other containers. And as far as we're aware, all the other ones are okay at this stage.
Authorities in Afghanistan say about 50 Afghan schoolgirls have been taken to hospital after a suspected poison gas attack on their school in the southwest of the country. Provincial police say the teenage girls fell ill and some became unconscious after smelling the gas. The police say it's similar to other such attacks aimed at discouraging girls from attending schools. The Cuban government has freed a jailed dissident and moved 6 others to prisons closer to their homes. Ariel Sila's release came after Catholic Church leaders pressed Cuban officials to act on humanitarian grounds. Mr. Sila says he regrets not being able to share the moment with his companions who are still in jail.
We hope that not only I will have the possibility to be out of prison, but we all have the possibility to be out, because we all consider ourselves innocent. We've been wrongly accused.
A British newspaper says Japan has been bribing small nations to help it overturn a moratorium on commercial whaling. Undercover reporters from the Sunday Times newspaper say fisheries officials from 6 African, Caribbean and Pacific nations have told them Japan provided aid for fisheries and cash for delegates in return for their support at the International Whaling Commission. Japan denies paying any such bribes. And that story ends this bulletin of ABC News.
Change your life, change the planet, grow organic. Organicgardener.com.au. The team at ABC's Organic Gardener are thrilled to announce the launch of the magazine's new website. In addition to the print magazine, the website will keep you up to date with organic gardening, lifestyle and living. On the new website, you'll find blogs, selected articles from previous issues and practical gardening tips from the Gardening Australia TV show. Visit organicgardener.com.au.
Grandstand AFL.
Forward of the centre, great kick, tuck, disposal better, Collins on his own, marking again. Left half forward, can Collins make amends here? Increase the Tigers' lead. He can. Vickery, but sharks by British to an open goal. He skidded it home for the forward pocket, making something out of nothing. He read Vickery's hand expertly then. British inside 50, rebound. Oh, Dean Cox, hang your head. The king of Tasmania. He's not abdicating the throne. What a day he's having. Down at Strabo by Vickery to Nason. Did he mark that? Threw it on the boot. Nason was in front and the dreadlock Holiday takes it. Big Raw, he gets it. They love him. He's done it.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio.
Welcome back to Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio and Grandstand Digital. Halftime at the MCG where Richmond lead West Coast by 48 points, 11-5-71 to the Eagles 3-5-23. Jack Riewoldt the star so far with 6 goals. Good afternoon, Matt Clinch updating you with the latest sporting news. Later this afternoon we'll head to Subiaco where Fremantle are hosting St Kilda. But underway this afternoon the Western Bulldogs are taking on Brisbane from Docklands. Jonathan Brown a late withdrawal for the Brisbane Lions. Let's get another update from Adam White and Stan Elves.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. We're 19 minutes into the first term here. It's the Western Bulldogs 3-3-21 to Brisbane 1-1-7. The goal kickers for the Dogs, singles to Grant, Minson and Hall. And for Brisbane, the goal kicker was Jack Redden. We've got Brennan Stack lining up from about 30 metres out straight in front, and he has kicked the goal. So it's 4 now to the Western Bulldogs, 4-3-27 to Brisbane 1-1-7 after 19 minutes. Stan Elves is watching it with me, and Stan, I tell you what, the Bulldogs look on. Their energy is, well, I don't think I've seen it since the pre-season grand final.
Well, I think Rodney Eads told them it's three-quarter time, and they've played like they have been finishing. They've actually got out of the blocks today. They've been superb. Around the packs, they've been very good. Cooney's been super in there. I think his job, Griffith's picking up a lot of the footy. So much of their game is coming off half-back. They've been real well served back there. Murphy's been a super catalyst for them, hasn't he? Off that half-back, his ability to get the ball and his lovely sweeping runs. He using him as the go-to. When they get it into the forward line, they've got multiple options up there. Minson's been a bit of a revelation. They're changing their rucks in the forward pocket. Hall's really leading up well, and at ground level, Gian Siracusa has got a fit of the footy, and young Grant has been impressive. Right at this point of time, Brisbane is under siege. There's no doubt about it. They cannot really get their game going, and it's all Bulldogs.
And you touched on it before, Robert Murphy going back to half-back, Hall possibly a little bit further up the ground.
Yep.
They've definitely rejigged their structure, and it's almost like we're going to revert back to the way we've played over the last couple of years, and not so much 2010.
You know, it's interesting that Hall is, in some ways, Hall's almost playing centre-half forward, isn't he? He's prepared to come up and be that go-to person, but also that they're lifting their vision, and if he's not in the best position, they're going over the top to their talls. So I mentioned Minson is down that forward line. He's looking really good. They've just got it together. They're just playing like a side who's feeling good with themselves at the moment.
Just quickly on Brisbane before we go back to Matt, it's not as though they're playing bad footy at the moment. They're just almost awestruck with the way the Bulldogs are moving the ball. So we're seeing them move forward again, but also their tackling stand.
Yeah, that was a standout, wasn't it? The pressure that they've put on, they're playing the complete brand of footy, and their first thought is, as Minson's just put through a left foot goal from 50 metres out, he's kicked it long to the goal square. When Big Will's on, everybody's on.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
But it was, again, ball movement. It's exactly what you said. Pressure, tackle, turnover, release the football, give us runners, get the ball in quickly, and really catch them out.
Well, as we were talking, Brendan Favola almost took a mark inside 50. He didn't take it. They monstered the Brisbane Lions at ground level, and they've gone down straight through the corridor and kicked the goals. So, Matt, as we throw back to you now, 21 minutes into this first quarter, and the Bulldogs are up and about, 5-3-33, Brisbane 1-1-7, and just repeating that news from the start of the day, Jonathan Brown out of the Lions team. He was replaced by Troy Selwood, and I'm sure that's hemorrhaged a number of dream teams around the country, Matt.
Yes, certainly. Thanks to Adam White and Stan Elves there at Docklands. Back to the MCG shortly, but let's quickly update you with the rest of the day's sporting news. At the World Cup overnight, a nightmare error from England goalkeeper Robert Green resulted in England's 1-1 draw with the United States. England captain Steven Gerrard opened the scoring in the 4th minute, but a howler from the England goalkeeper in the 40th minute allowed Clint Dempsey to level the scores at half-time. Here are the highlights courtesy of the BBC.
Johnson with a throw-in to Lampard. Lampard on to Rooney, but behind Rooney, still runs to Heskey. Here's Gerrard. Great chance. 1-0 England. Less than 4 minutes played at Rustenburg, and the captain puts England in front. Lovely touch on by Heskey, and Gerrard's finish was true. It's England 1, the United States 0.
And now a nice turn from Clint Dempsey, strong on the ball. England must close him down. And
Green's dropped it. He spilt it. It was a very, very tame shot from Dempsey. Green had it, juggled with it, span away from him, and it's a dreadful mistake by Robert Green. Selected ahead of the experienced David James, and the Americans, 6 minutes before half-time, are right back in the game here. England 1, the United States of America 1, and that was a terrible, terrible error from Robert Green.
So there'll be all sorts of reaction over there in the UK. The United States famously beat England 1-0 in their only previous World Cup meeting back in the 1950s finals in Brazil. In other matches on day 2, South Korea became the first nation to take 3 points with a 2-0 win over Greece, while in Johannesburg, Argentina defeated Nigeria 1-0. With all local attention now turning to tomorrow's early hours match between Australia and Germany, I spoke to Grandstand's Ned Hall in South Africa as to whether we're any closer to learning the Australian starting lineup.
Well, it's very interesting because I'd be more and more I think about it, the more surprised I'd be if Harry Kewell actually starts, because I'd be surprised if he's got a full 90 minutes in him, and he may be better served keeping a bit of energy in his legs for the 2 games against Ghana and Serbia. But there's more and more talk now that he will be picked to lead the line and be picked as the central striker, which will probably mean that Mark Bresciano will start on the left and Brett Nimmerton on the right. So that there is a suggestion that is the way that the side will line up. Tim Cahill will definitely play, even though obviously he's had some injury concerns of his own with a stiff neck and the headaches that he picked up after the game against the USA. But I think that's the major area now. Is it does Kewell come in and play as a central striker? Does Josh Kennedy carry on there? That's the main issue, I think, really for Australia, is who fills in that central striking role. And Harry Kewell, with so little football under his belt, that's a big ask of him to go in against big, strong German defenders and resume his football career against players like that.
Grandstand's Ned Hall reporting in from South Africa. In other matches late tonight, early tomorrow morning, Algeria plays Slovenia and Serbia takes on Ghana. New South Wales assistant coach Andrew Johns says he hopes winger Tamana Tahu will rejoin the Origin side after Johns himself quit the team overnight after racist remarks he made. Tamahu dramatically walked out on the New South Wales Rugby League team on Friday after taking offence at a comment Johns made about Queensland player Greg Inglis. In a statement released last night, Johns admitted making a derogatory remark about the colour of Inglis' skin and says he deeply regrets his actions. In today's NRL action, round 14 kicks off with the Broncos taking on the Rabbitohs in about 35 minutes' time. Last night, Australia had a 27-17 win over England in their rugby union test in Perth. The Wallabies scored 3 tries while England was awarded 2 penalties late in the match. Australian golfer Richard Green is within 3 strokes of the lead after 3 rounds of the European Tour event in Portugal. He fired an 8-under par 64 to move to outright second at 16 under. Denmark's Thomas Bjorn leads at 19 under. And finally, Australian tennis player Leighton Hewitt has advanced to the final of the ATP tournament in Halle with a 6-7, 7-6, 6-2 win against Germany's Benjamin Becker. He will face Roger Federer, who defeated Philip Petchner 7-6, 6-4. And in netball today, round 13 later this afternoon, the Thunderbirds take on the Fever. But let's get you back to the MCG. Players moving back into position. It's Richmond by 48 points over the Eagles, 11-5-71 to 3-5-23. Back to Dan Lonigan, Drew Morford, David Parkin and Adam Romanascus.
Well done, Matt. We look forward to tomorrow morning, Australia and Germany in that first World Cup match. Before the quarter starts, Jared Cameron has the stats for us on Grandstand.
At half-time, Richmond have taken 11 marks inside 50 and they've goaled from 9 of those marks. West Coast have taken just 2 marks inside 50 and they haven't scored a goal from either of those marks. Contested possession in the second quarter was Richmond 40-23 and they lead that count at half-time 75-64. Free kicks, Richmond 10, West Coast 14. Turnovers, West Coast have had 38-35, but perhaps more significantly, Richmond have forced 8 goals directly from those turnovers and conceded just 2. Individually, Dustin Martin, another 2 possessions in that quarter for a half-time total of 16. King and Delidio 15. Jack Riewoldt has taken 6 of the 16 contested marks on the ground to go with his 6 goals. He's had 11 possessions. And for West Coast, Matt Priddis' 16 disposals, Matt Rosa 15 and Embley 14.
Second half about to get underway. A 48-point lead to the Tigers, looking for their second win only of the season. Cox goes up against Vickery. Won slightly by Vickery. Goes out towards the wing. There's a kick in danger. And it's going to be a Richmond free kick. And it'll be taken by Edwards, just to the left of the circles. Seagulls hovering. Lights on a grey overcast day. The kick inside the 50. No mark. Cochin gets a touch of the ball. He lays a tackle on Cox, whose hand pass goes nowhere. In trouble still here, the Eagles. The hand pass out the back door. Comes to Collins. Nat Nui upended. Embley gets a hand pass out. Bunted away by the Eagles, and eventually they clear it with the hand pass by Stevenson over half-back, taken here by Rosa, back to Stevenson. This is better by the Eagles. Hand pass comes up to Waters. And the pass towards half-forward, and the mark's been taken by Kennedy. 60 from goal. A lead out towards the pocket. Beautiful play by the 2 big forwards, and a mark on the run taken here by McKinley. But he's wide out. Not sure why they went so wide. And Ben McKinley will have a bit of a task here to kick this. He's kicked 11 goals, 12 for the season. Just 1 behind today. Richmond 11-5, lead the Eagles 3 goals, 5. At the punt road end of the MCG, McKinley from about 35 metres, tight angle, across the face, and through for another behind. His second for the game.
So Delidio with those lime or very yellow boots to kick back into play. Very durable play. Missed just 4 games in nearly 6 seasons of senior footy. Dual best and fairest winner. Kicks to himself, heads to the MCC member side. Halfback flanking young Graham. Tearing mark from the side. Natanui didn't even get up then. Quick hand pass to Jackson. Natanui does put pressure on Jackson, forces a wobbly kick. Riewoldt, did he get one high from the attempted score from Schofield? On hands and knees did okay. Schofield in the way. Stumbles all over it. Thought Tuck was in his back. And it's all locked in on the wing. There'll be a ball up.
Thought he was. Just had an operation to remove his knees. Goodness me.
Got him with everything but a gun and a dagger.
Oh,
47-point lead to the Tigers. Playing inspirational football, Richmond. Natanui there, won by Martin. Flicks a hand pass out to Collins, releases him at half forward. Kicks to full forward, Cox to get back. He does well. He doesn't do a Robert Green, doesn't go through his legs. He clears now for the Eagles. Kicks to the outer side, and they can set up through Nikoski at half-back.
Very static as they move the ball forward into McKenzie. McKenzie, another short pass back outside the corridor. Waters. We're going to have a cup of tea waiting for the next possession. Kick by Waters over the wing. A very high ball. And using his body, Kennedy, and he gets rid of his opponent, takes the mark. Kennedy plays on quickly. That's a 50-metre penalty. And Kennedy will come right deep inside 50 and we'll have a ping for goal. So Josh Kennedy, the other Josh Kennedy, will be playing for the Socceroos over in South Africa early tomorrow morning. But this Josh Kennedy looking for his second goal today. It's been terrific this season. He's kicked 33 goals, 6. You wouldn't know it from the run-up. Little stutters. He kicks from 40, but somehow it leaves the boot all right, and he's kicked another goal.
There's a bit of argy-bargy that you guys who are watching the game didn't see, but young Prentice has whacked Dustin Martin on the wing and brought him down somewhere around the middle of his body, and he's been struggling on, and I think he's picked on into a lot of his teammates. His teammates have come from everywhere.
Let's get an update from Docklands. Adam White.
Dan, it's quarter time here, and it's the Western Bulldogs 5-6-36 leading the Brisbane Lions 1-1-7. So a 29-point lead to the Dogs. Minson, the only multiple goal scorer, he has 2 for the Dogs.
So they needed that West Coast. It's a long way back, though. A long way back. Bounce in the middle. Cox just beats Graham. Pritis there, pouncing, couldn't take it cleanly. They scrap for it at ground level just outside the circles. Players everywhere. Very ugly, it's flicked out. Now the Tigers can run onto it. The very impressive Martin, a bit quieter in the second quarter. Kicks inside 50. Riewoldt uses the body, pushes Schofield off it. Bounces to his advantage. Embley's with him, hotly pressing him, seeing it over the boundary in the forward pocket. At the city end. Looking for 2 more for 100 career goals, Jack Riewoldt. Well, he's going, he should get them today. Cox taps it down and then collects his own footy. Lost it though in a big contest at ground level. Now young Shepherd goes through for West Coast. It's bumbled out of the defensive 50. Flicked down by Nikoski, but in the road the Tigers have numbers. Good play Asprey by hand to Newman, but an excellent mark taken at half-back by Jones. Now they're on in the middle, taking the mark in the circles is Lacroix. Has to chip over the top. He's got Waters. He's on the non-preferred side though, on the southern side. Kicks on the right. Oh, that's a terrible kick. Chance over Kennedy. 2-on-1, crawling all over it. Socket in the goal spread by McKinley. Good contest, Kennedy. And McKinley kicks another one for the Eagles. 2 in a row. And they're starting to mount a challenge. 5-6-36 to 11-5-71 at the 6-minute mark. But other than the Kennedy goal, that was hard work once again.
But that was a very, very smart kick by Beau Waters. He's seen there was no option, but he gave the ball enough height for Kennedy to get there to create the contest. And then what happened, all the Eagles players were able then to swarm on the crumb, and McKinley just kicked it off the ground for an easy goal. But it was well worked by the Eagles there. They actually used the centre corridor at the MCG, because the MCG is a very wide football ground. The shortest way home is definitely down that corridor.
They're up again though, the West Coast right now, like they started the game, up and going.
Chris Newman was in the hands of trainers, but he's been able to shrug them off. In the middle, ruck contest has been won by the Tigers, and the free kick goes to the Tigers. Angus Graham, as Cox picks himself up off the deck.
I think the umpire got it right.
Off the ball, gee, they're working on Martin, but they can't stop him. He's just winning the ball all over the place. Little hand pass by Graham out the back door, finds Deledio, and now to the skipper Newman, who's recovered from that knock. Newman from the logo. A high ball to centre half forward. Riewoldt up a mile, but he was up and down before the ball arrived. The Eagles have it. Little hand pass out. Jones goes backwards. Gets the hand pass back. Dalziel out of defence. Out towards the wing. Here's Graham looking impressive. Getting better all the time. Into Asprey. His pass into the centre square. Collins has the mark spoiled. Comes down to the Eagles. Jones a little hand pass away. Ball comes away here to McKinley. He goes to Kennedy. 70 from goal. Hoists it high. Lacroix a good mark for his size. Use his body on his opponent. Asprey. Lacroix still a chance. But down. It spills away to Connors. And here come the Tigers.
Around the outer side. And Mark taken inside the line by Cousins. He'll slow it down.
Nothing ahead of the ball there, the Tigers, so he has to be really patient here, Cousins.
Playing one-on-one at the moment, West Coast. He curls a little kick, has a teammate running onto it. Only he can hit a target like that. And Jackson, runner up the best and fairest last year. Still at half-back, right on the boundary. Near the old Bay 13, southern side of the ground. In short again. Lead made by the loping Collins. And his foot pass is good. Cousins makes an option for him, but it's all slow and stagnant at the moment, Richmond. West Coast, a lot more diligent in the way they've manned up so far in this quarter. 2 goals to none for them. Kicks close to the boundary.
Very smart play by Richmond, because West Coast have had all the momentum to start this quarter. So by Richmond slowing the game down here, the game goes back on the Richmond's terms.
White marks. He has to come in board. Natanui chases. Goes backwards to Newman. Using the footy pretty well. Their foot skills have been an area that have let them down over the years. Now inside defensive 50. Plays on, switching to the outer side. Good lead made by Delidio. Plays on. Now he's got a player in space for him. White was on the other side a minute or so ago, and he's come right across the centre square, and he takes a good mark on the wing.
Oh, he's run down, but he just gets the hand pass away to Tuck, who hurries a kick, which takes a very high bounce inside the 50. The Eagles have it. Hand pass by Jones down the line. And eventually Ebert puts boot the ball along the line, across the wing, and the ball goes out of play. Not good for the side.
Oh, he gets himself into so much trouble. He gets slow in leg movement, slow in decision making, and when he's made decisions, slow in the execution.
71-36. The Eagles have a long way back from here. This ball comes to Waters, crunched by 2, gets the hand pass away to Pritters, finishes up with Jones. Jones for the Dalziel for the Eagles. Kicks to centre half forward. Kennedy makes a contest against Moore. Gets after it again. And it's beautifully played in defence there by Asprey, who gets it out of defence. Up towards half forward for the Tigers. Good use of the body there. Oh, he's a terrier little king near the boundary line. Is he going to force a holding the ball decision? And it's against King. It's going to the Eagles, and the free kick will be taken by Hearn at right half back for the Eagles. 71-36, Richmond lead.
Getting more numbers around the contest though, West Coast. Richmond were doing a lot more of that in the first half. Still a long way behind though, the West Coast Eagles, as Drew said. He squares it up to centre half back Hearn to Wilkes, and he switches to McKenzie, just takes the mark. Beating Riewoldt, kicks down the line. Good mark, backtracking by Waters, having a pretty good year. Didn't play a game at all last year. He dabs in short. Terrible kick looking for Dalziel. Wedged between 2 opponents. One was Delidio, and he marks. And he kicks beautifully to Nason in space. Quick give by hand to Tambling. Kicks to Riewoldt. One out with Schofield. Bounces in front of Schofield. Trying to come back Embley. Schofield takes him on. Riewoldt drags him down from behind. Oh, Andrew Embley was loitering. He didn't show enough intent for mine to get in and help young Schofield. And Riewoldt just hassled him and harassed him and harangued him, and eventually won a holding the ball at half forward on the southern side.
Embley's got to move on. That was a bloke who's just hoping to get a quick little hand pass. No real support in the sense he could have gone for the body and done something about it. Very poor effort.
For his best ever haul in league footy, he's kicked 6-1. He's on an angle, 30 out. Jack Riewoldt to stem the tide a bit for goal number 7. He misses to the near side behind at the 12-minute mark. The Tigers, though, by 6 goals, 11-6-72 on Grandstand AFL. West Coast, 5-6-36. Quick update from Docklands, Adam White.
We've played 2.5 minutes in this second term and no change to the score. The Bulldogs 36, Brisbane 7.
and then kicks to himself and then changes direction, darts towards the Great Southern stand side. Pack gathers. Nat Nui is swamped. Ball comes down to the front to Brown. Gets the hand pass away to Dalziel. Up towards over the wing. Taken by Moore for the Tigers. Well gathered. Up to Jackson. His kick towards centre half forward and the mark to White. 49 metres out from goal. Matt White. Could he make this distance?
Well, he better. He better know his ability. Really annoys me now if he's got a kick over the line now.
White gets to 50 metres, gives it everything he's got, gives it a hook, and it goes through for a minor score. 2 behinds for Matt White today, and Richmond 11-7, 73 lead the Eagles 5-6, 36, and we played 13 minutes third quarter.
Quick release from Hearn to Shepard. He kicks to a contest, but his teammates up to a task and takes a very good mark on the outer side. It's young Stevenson. He squares it up to Shepard, and he dabs on the chest of Mitchell Brown, who's been pretty quiet. He slides it wide to Dalziel. Dalziel inboards it now to Brown. Still defensive side of the wing on the southern side. Back to where they were in that first half, West Coast, with the way they're using the footy and their stagnation. Tuck receives a hand pass, wanted to take them on after the mark was taken by Jackson. And it's a free kick to West Coast. They're tackling a lot better. Dalzill's had a pretty good quarter so far. Kicks to half forward. Kennedy had it knocked away late. Tigers still a chance. Kennedy overruns the ball on the outer wing. Now they have it. Some fancy footwork. White run down. Got it to Jackson, and again another free kick to the Eagles.
Got to give Kennedy his due. He's a great worker, with or without the ball, for a bloke of his size. Fantastic play.
He is working hard. He got it to his teammate, McGinnity, who bangs long inside 50. Lacroix there, he rows it. Good contest. Front and square, that's what he's there for. And he bumbles the Eagles' third goal of the term. 6-6, 42 to 11-7, 73. He's got a couple now.
And it was Tuck and Deledio that spoiled each other in the contest. Or was it McGuan? Sorry, it was McGuan and Deledio that spoiled each other in the contest. Lacroix stays down and kicks an easy goal, but that's where I guess the Richmond defenders have to realise the situation of that there was only one West Coast player around, that they need to talk. They need to talk in that situation. Deledio could have taken quite an easy uncontested mark there.
Gee, the Eagles have kicked the only 3 goals of this third quarter. Richmond have added just 2 behinds. And thoughts of a game over in Adelaide when they were blown away in the space of 20 minutes might come back to haunt the Tigers here. It's not won by any stretch. And the bounce in the middle, ball held up, and the umpire will bounce again.
His Cousins' little quiet words going off at half time maybe didn't sink in.
Cox in ruck. Comes down to Jackson of Richmond. Little hand pass to Asprey. A standing start kick. Not bad. Onto the chest of White. Gets the hand pass away to Cousins, cruising past. He kicks towards full forward. There's no mark taken. Comes to Tambling in front. Takes his man to ground. The Eagles have a great tackle by Nason. And he wins the free kick for the tackle.
They've rewarded those all day, though. There's been a lot of those dragging down from behind.
See Cousins, I think.
He's going to pay a free kick here, the umpire, against Scott Selwood for throwing Ben Cousins' boot away.
Well, that's I saw Ben Cousins' boots go.
Tambling's coming off with his arm hanging down. Left arm, it's a collarbone or something for Richard Tambling.
Doesn't look good, Nick, does it?
It doesn't look good. Definitely the left shoulder. I'm not sure at collarbone. There's a goal.
Nason a goal from the goal square. Much needed for the Tigers. That's their first this quarter, and we've been playing past the quarter-hour mark. Second to Nason. The Tigers 12-7 lead the Eagles 6-6.
Round the grounds, Adam White at Docklands.
Brent Staker has kicked the first goal of the second term for the Lions, so Brisbane 2-13, trailing the Bulldogs 5-8-38 after 7 minutes of the second quarter.
So I've never seen that, Parko. No, Richmond got the free kick for holding the ball. And then Scott Selwood, where he was standing, Ben Cousins' boot was right in front of him, so he's piffed it away. The umpire's seen it and then given the free kick and a 50-metre penalty. I've never seen that in football ever.
And what would be the ruling that comes
What would be the ruling?
What would be the ruling for that? The actual boot went further than the kick.
Graham the flick. Cox tried to win it away. Young Ebert lays a tackle. Tiger free kick but been taken high. Cochin had won it from the centre clearance. Runs away for Richmond. He was met late by Ebert. Kicks inside 50. Wilkes the big fist out the road wide. 30 out. 2 in a row. Wilkes. Straight down the throat, the Wilkes punch to Matt White, and he makes sure that it's going to be impossible now for West Coast to win, you think. 13-7-85, 6-6-42 on Grandstand AFL, 18 gone third quarter.
In a sense, and I think Wilkes can play a bit, don't get me wrong, but he's made two dreadful decisions. There's a kid who's just hanging on for grim death. He's got up in the first quarter and done exactly that, hit it perfectly in the open for Riewoldt the goal. He was there, should have gone in my opinion, had the chance to go and clunk two hands on it and take a great saving mark. Stuck a fist on it, into the open again. Richmond run on and put away at a stage where West Coast were just making them think a bit, that maybe we've got a game on our hands, and now they've, I reckon, changed the momentum.
7 goal scorers, the Tigers.
Cox wins the head out in the middle. It's rowed by Nason, darting away from goal. A hand pass back to Jackson. From the circles, he kicks inside centre half forward. Another chance for the Tigers. Cochin gets boot to ball. And getting a hand on this is Stevenson. He gets out of defence and he follows up. Intercepted here for the Tigers. They're only 30 metres out from goal. Martin slung to ground. Martin wins the ball again, emerges, gets it on the right boot. Nason in the goal square. Martin's kick, he's shepherded through for a goal. 3 and 2 minutes for the Tigers. Get ready to celebrate their second victory for the year.
That is fantastic because Nason held Hearn out. Was it Hearn who's would be about 14 kilos heavier, and that was a terrific effort to protect the ball through the goal. You made a point, Dan, just a minute ago. Remember last week, I think, one of the great criticisms, Richmond only had 2 goal kickers. I think I'm right in saying that. And they're already into the third quarter, 19-minute mark. They've had 7 goal kickers, or does that make 8?
No, 7.
Have we ever seen a kid in his first year in Dustin Martin be stronger in the tackle? He is unbelievable how he fights the tackle.
Got himself time and space each time, didn't he?
20 kilo difference according to the book. 75 Nason, 95 Hearn.
Well,
good effort.
Take off his hair and it's 25 kilo.
No doubt about that. Bounce in the middle, down to Shepherd to Rosa, drag down, spills a hand pass out wide. I reckon young Stevenson's battled hard, wins it on the MCC member's side. Ornikoski, he's broken his wrist, I think, and it whacked away, and Richmond at ground level. Rowed by Nason, by hand to Tuck, by hand to Farmer, streaming through half forward to Riewoldt against Schofield, did well to knock away, and then collects his own football at half back, goes back to full back and finds Cox at the city end. He delivers with a pinpoint pass into the back pocket on the southern side.
Shoulder for Nikoski.
McKenzie. Bruce at long for West Coast. Natanui. What a shocker he's had. He's in my dream team. I think he's just cost me a match this week. And an easy mark, 2-on-1, taken by Connors, who's made a good comeback for the Tigers today. His kick's no good. You give a guy a rep, look what he does. Down to Kennedy, intercepted, now to Natanui. Feeds over the top, looking for Brown, but coming the other way more. Brown got a bad bounce. Tigers won it. Hand pass in the middle, in the direction of Cousins. He was set, an almighty task by McGuire. But he did well to buckle at the knees, and Critters got him high. He spills it wide to Nason, and he'll drive Richmond forward again.
Riewoldt in the chop. It covers him and goes through for a minor score, but the whistle's gone. It's going to be a Richmond free kick.
Sadly, Nat knew he worked hard over there, got the ball, got clean, hit a hand pass that missed his teammate running in the same direction, what, by 3 metres, went straight into the Richmond hand. Hasn't had a great day today.
24 dream team points.
Against Schofield, the free kick, getting into the back of Jack Riewoldt. So Riewoldt has a chance to kick his PB. He's never kicked more than 6, and he's kicked 6 3 times in the last 4 rounds.
That was for chopping the arms, I think, that free kick there, Drew, and look, if that was chopping the arm, Stephen Silvani would have had a very short career, I think, because Will Schofield barely touched Jack Riewoldt here.
He's only 20 metres out, Jack. At the city end of the MCG. Steers it for his 7th. He's never been this far before. 7 goals 2 for Jack Riewoldt after he kicked 5 straight in the first quarter. Richmond 15-7, the Eagles 6-6. Nick Jewell.
Yeah, bad news for West Coast. Nikoski, definitely a right shoulder. The way it was being held as he came off the ground, it seemed as though it was dislocated. And Richard Tambling straight up the race with a left shoulder, although I think the physio just said he should be back out in 5. One thing I just did notice, Ben Cousins hasn't had a heap of the ball, but his direction out there to the younger players in his instructions, if you like, has been fantastic this quarter.
Let's find out what's happening at Docklands. Adam White.
2-1 to Brisbane in this term, Dan. So at the 13-minute mark of the second quarter, it is the Bulldogs 6-8-44. Barry Hall with 2. Brisbane 3-1-19.
Cox, a little fist. Rovo by Tuck. Now to Jackson, going the wrong way, now in the right direction. Bumbles inside 50. Trying to get a fist on at Hearn. Both teams make contest at centre half forward. It rolls outside, attacking 50 for Richmond. Collected by Edwards, trying to get a hand pass in. Not taken cleanly. Good tackling from behind. Allows the ball to go free. West Coast try and push it out through Scott Selwood. Martineau might win the contest. He does. Got the arms free despite a big tackle. Down to Tuck. Now to Moore. Can he kick a goal from 45? The answer is no. Has a flying shot. Giving them good run. 15-8-98. 56 points in front of West Coast. 6-6-42. Inside 50 this quarter. 15 Richmond. 6 to West Coast. The Eagles haven't been there for a while. They've done well to kick 3 goals.
Gee, they're playing with confidence now, the Tigers. Hearn kicks in a mile. What a kick. He's cleared the defence. Fantastic kick. Must have gone about 65. Waters takes the mark. He kicks towards half forward. Ill-directed. Getting back there for the Tigers is Farmer. In a bit of trouble, Connors does all right though. Underground hand pass by Jackson to Tuck. Tuck unloads a big one. Riewoldt in the chop again, but Cox, the man in front, stands tall and takes the mark at centre half back.
He decides to kick it to Rosa on the MCC member side. Just takes the mark under pressure from 2. Got it to Prentice. Delays a hand pass back to Rosa. Met late. Hurried boot to ball. McKinley 2 to beat. Graham doing well. Chops off for the Tigers. Hand pass to Collins. Offloads to the Ledio. Now to Farmer.
Oops.
Farmer slides it wide. Not a good kick. Doesn't come off. Embley runs onto it. Has a bounce around the southern side. Nearly lost it. And he's also chased down, forcing an errant kick to go wide to Mitchell Brown, who's dragged away as he tried to get a hand pass out. Tigers have 2 on 1. It's socked away by McGuan. He pounces on it now at half-back. Avoids the tackle as he runs around in circles. Now to the Ledio by hand. Now to Edwards, who runs into a spot of trouble. Gets the hand pass off to Tuck. Now in the direction of McGuan. He kicks backwards. Moore receives a hand pass at half-back. And he kicks down the line. Looking for Cousins. Can't mark. Opposed to Shepherd. Boundary throwing. Great contest. Connors was involved there too for the Tigers. It'll be thrown back into play. 25 minutes in the third quarter. It's Richmond 15-8-98. West Coast 6-6-42.
Throw in right below us here. Natanui in the ruck. Ball comes down to Tuck. Hand pass over his head goes to Natanui. He puts the hand pass out to Ebert, who's legged, and Ebert will take the free kick. Actually, they've done okay in the free kicks, haven't they, the Eagles? Aren't they in front? They were at half-time.
Free kicks are 18-17. Yes, one in front.
Got that right, boy. Not much. Into Jones. Jones kick inside centre half forward. Lacroix charges at it. Can't take the mark. In front, a little bit of a fumble by Stevenson, but he paddles. Shot there by McKinley, was it? Up just short of the goal square. It spills to Kennedy. Oh, he's only about 10 metres out, and he misses everything, and it's out of bounds on the full. Nick Jewell.
Richard Tambling, left shoulder being restrapped, just preparing to come back on the ground. Good news for the Tigers.
So Tigers in the back pocket. Back into play, McGuan. Arriving late, Cousins. Fisted on by Rosa. Towards young Stevenson, who collects now. Good shepherding. Jones allows him through, and Stevenson delivers down the line to Shepherd. I should say Ebert. Inboard to Rosa. Rosa kicks towards the front edge of the centre square. Mark taken by Dalziel. Terrible hand pass under no pressure, but Embley had time to run onto it. Does it half forward southern side. In short to McKinley. Dropped what he probably should have taken. Had to lunge a bit. Farmer the mop up for the Tigers. Taken now by Collins. Spearing kick. Riewoldt one out. Oh, missed by McKenzie. Riewoldt there gets a bad bounce. Down to White at half forward. He's cornered. Kicks to Nason. Will run onto it. Oh, back him every day. Another one for the Tigers. He's got 3. They've crossed the century. 12 for the season. Tigers are kicking the sweep at the MCG on Grandstand AFL. 16-8, 104 to 6-6-42 around the grounds. Docklands, Adam White.
A second goal to Amon Buchanan has cut the margin to 25 points. The Bulldogs 7-8-50, Brisbane 4-1-25, 18 minutes gone, second term.
We've all done it in our career, but I think Eric McKenzie won't want to go and look at the videotape of that passage of play because he pulled out where he needed to show courage, and Nason ran in and kicked an uncontested goal because of it.
Absolutely, there's been a few of those today.
Last 5 goals to the Tigers, boys.
Nason's having a day 3 goals. Last week he didn't get a touch in the first half against St Kilda. I know, because we had him in the dream team. From the centre bounce, it comes to Tuck. The hand pass back to Cochin. He puts it out towards the members' wing. Tambling is there, running in the same direction as the ball. It comes to White of the Tigers. Round the corner he goes with a kick inside 50. And Jones is in front, works it towards the boundary line, and will have a throw in. Nick Jewell.
Young McKenzie missed the replay. Jake King reminded him certainly of what happened.
Is that why you're so excited when Nason kicked that goal, Drewick?
Yes, I've still got him. I showed some faith. Oh, this ball comes down and a bit of a dancing by Collins for Richmond. He danced through the pack, got the ball on the right boot, hooked it back towards goal from about 35 metres, but he missed to the right-hand side and behind. Andy Collins, 1 goal, 2 today. 16-9, 105 to West Coast 6-6-42.
Another youngster who can play.
I like Collins. He moves around really well. So I think you'll find there's a lot of these guys in the Richmond team, another 15 to 20 to 30 games in them. And I think you're going to see a really good football team soon.
The good thing about Benny Nason's only played the 11 games all this year. You'd think of his size and shape he'd be getting tired, but he's showing a tremendous enthusiasm.
Hearn let that rip, would have kicked it 65 metres towards the members' side. Cox was the only Eagle player there, and Tambling sprawled across in front of him and effected a great spoil. Out of bounds, half forward for the Tigers. Cox rakes it down. Jackson the clearance, tries to burst through. Gang tackled, lost it. Cox getting his knees dirty as he goes in. He's on the bottom of the pack. It'll be thrown up. Big win coming up for the Tigers. 63-point lead over the West Coast Eagles, who haven't had a good year. This, though, arguably will be their worst performance, coming off probably their best last week when Geelong's class was the only difference. They won a terrific match by 4 goals. Cox the tap. Free kick. Which way? Richmond's way from the ruck. Jackson to take it. At right half forward. Dan Jackson kicks towards the hot spot. You'd go Riewoldt, wouldn't you? Can't take the mark. Rode by Cochin. Left foot snap by the Silky Skill one. He misses to the left-hand side and registers are behind. Richmond 16-10, 106. West Coast 6-6-42. Haven't scored for a while, the Eagles.
Haven't got a pass centre for a while, the Eagles.
Well, they got the first 3 goals of the quarter, and since then it's been full stop. Kick-outs marked in front by Tuck. Hand pass to Cochin. A little poking ball is a fantastic pass, and the mark has been taken by Collins. Collins puts it out wide towards the pocket, where the mark's been taken by Tuck, who followed up. Shane Tuck. There's 4 goals this season.
An interesting story this year, hasn't he, Tuck?
He started the season in the VFL.
Well, for a long time, and I think try to teach him what they've wanted him to do, is particularly usage with the ball.
So here he goes from 45 metres wide out. The kick is missing to the near side and through for a minor score. 16-11 Richmond, 6 goals, 6 the West Coast.
So approaching three-quarter time. Hearn kicks low and well to Rosa. Rosa down the line, southern side, looking for young Wilkes. Did he get enough on that? No, he didn't. Off hands more. Hand pass to Cochin. Science the Spirit across the centre square. Terrible kick. That was a terrible effort by Stevenson. Kicked off balance, but Kennedy attacks it hard. Gets it on the second grab. Plays on quickly. Waters is there. He'll mark just outside the goal square. Right on the three-quarter time siren. He's a strong player, Bo Waters. He beat Mitch Farmer. One out then. And he should kick the Eagles' 7th goal. And their first since the 14-minute mark of the third term. Richmond supporters boo. Gee, they're a mean lot, aren't they? A goal to Waters, right on the siren. But all too late. 59 points, the Tigers. 16-11-107. West Coast 7-6-48 in that quarter. Richmond probably should have gone further in front. They kicked 5 goals, 6. And West Coast managed 4 goals, 1. For the Tigers, Jack Riewoldt, career best 7. 3 to Nason, 2 to Martin, and 1 each to Mitch Farmer, Andy Collins, Tyrone Vickery and Matt White. For West Coast, 2 each to LaCroix and Kennedy, McKinley, Prentice, and also Waters right on the siren, the goal scorers for the Eagles. Three-quarter time, Richmond 16-11-107, West Coast 7-6-48 after this. We will head to Subiaco for the last match of the second day, or third day of round 12. It is a big match, 2 top 4 sides. St Kilda with a record of 8-3 against Fremantle with a record of 8-3. They played a terrific match earlier in the season at the Docklands. Tomorrow to complete the round, the traditional Queen's Birthday, Melbourne and Collingwood. And a special cheerio too to our colleague Ken Judge, former Hawthorn Premiership player, Hawthorn and West Coast coach, who's struggling with leukemia at the moment, and we wish him and his family all the very best. He's been terrific for the ABC for some time. Let's get an update from Docklands. Adam White and Stan Elves, the Bulldogs and Brisbane.
Well, we're very close to half-time, and Michael Riccitelli has just kicked another goal for the Lions. So at the moment, at the 24-minute mark, it's Brisbane 5-2-32, the Bulldogs 7-9-51. So the Bulldogs by 19 points, but the lead was well out over 5 goals very early in this second term. Stan Elves has been watching it with me. Stan, we were singing the praises of the Bulldogs in the first quarter, but Brisbane has been a lot better in the second term, and the Doggies seem to have switched off.
Yeah, look, they've been fantastic. Obviously regrouped at quarter time after looked like going to be blown away, and as I said, they were lucky to be that close. Only some squandered shots by Western Bulldog, but this quarter I think they were fantastic. They've actually brought the game back just to an old bun fight.
Yep.
You know, they just made it almost the old-fashioned arm wrestle. Let's give it one-on-one. And it was interesting then, because as they've done that and the scoring started to dry up a little bit for Western Bulldogs, their confidence has grown. There's no doubt about that. Look, Hall's kicked a couple of goals for them, but apart from that, it's really been the fantastic work by blokes like Black and Power around the packs, Riccitelli, and also the fact that I think that they've been prepared more now to get the ball in quickly into the forward line. Buchanan's been very good for them. The Benefish kicked a couple of goals, and they're just looking much more dangerous. And as we look out there now, after Riccitelli had just kicked that goal, Western Bulldogs now have just pushed everybody into the defensive area. They're actually gone to save the game mode. So you'd have to say that after a shaky start, this quarter has definitely been Brisbane Lions.
And the Lions surging again after a turnover from the Western Bulldogs. So just before half-time here at Docklands, it is the Bulldogs 7-9-51, Brisbane 5-2-32. The goal kickers for the Bulldogs, 3 to Hall, 2 to Minson, and singles to Stack and Grant. And for Brisbane, 2 to Buchanan and singles to Staker, Redden and Riccitelli. It's the Dogs by 19 points, just short of half-time.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Stan. So some work to do for both the Bulldogs and the Lions in that match. Well, West Coast will try and win the last quarter here as Richmond will win their second game of the season, 16-11-107 to 7-6-48. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio and Digital Radio.
Local radio regular and best-selling author Sally Wise has written another delicious ABC cookbook, Out of the Bottle. Sally highlights not only how to make pickles and chutneys, but also how to use them in some mouth-watering recipes, which can be turned from simple to sublime with a spoonful of preserved product. Plus, Sally's book contains tips and basic methods for the novice preserver. Out of the Bottle, available now from ABC Shops, ABC Centres and Shop Online.
Grandstand AFL.
And Kennedy will come right deep inside 50 and will have a ping for goal. He kicked from 40, but somehow it leaves the boot all right, and he's kicked another goal.
Oh, that's a terrible kick. Chance over Kennedy, 2-on-1, crawling all over it. Socket in the goal square by McKinley. Good contest, Kennedy. And McKinley kicks another one for the Eagles.
Chasing a goal from the goal square. Unneeded for the Tigers. That's their first this quarter.
He works the big fist out the road wide. 30 out, 2 in a row.
Nathan in the goal square. Martin's kick. He's stepping it through for a goal. 3 and 2 minutes for the Tigers. He's only 20 metres out, Jack, at the city end of the MCG. Steers it 3-7. He's never been this far before.
Kingston Nation will run onto it. Oh, back here every day. Another one for the Tigers.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio.
Yes, after conceding the first 3 goals of the third quarter, Richmond really found their mojo late in the term. They kicked the next 5. West Coast got a late goal. It's the Tigers by 59 points, 16-11-107 to 7-6-48 before Jared Cameron. Nick Jewell on the boundary.
Found a very happy ex-premiership coach sitting on the boundary line with his grandson, watching the Tigers move the ball long, fast and direct to the forwards' advantage, which hasn't been the case for a long time.
So he's happy about that?
Very happy about that, and so's the grandson going into the winning change rooms, hopefully.
No doubt about that. Jared, just before Drew gets the last quarter underway, some stats for us.
In the third quarter, Richmond won the clearances 11-4, including 7-1 out of the middle.
3 generations of the Jewell family watching on. Here's the bounce to start the last quarter. It comes off hands, and Ebert for the Eagles kicks inside the 50. A big leap from behind and a punch towards the boundary line. Well done by number 39 that Tony used to wear and Nick used to wear. And now it's in the possession of Asprey, and he gets it to the boundary line. Making the number 39. He's doing it proud. Cox wins the boundary throw-in. Cochin goes without the ball. Spills to Graham. Hand pass to Tuck. Good tackle by Prittis. Takes him to ground. Leonce's the umpire. Spills to Jackson. Going backwards. Hand pass over his head. Good pick up on the half volley by Natanui. Gets it to Brown. Over the top. The hand pass comes out, and a kick for goal is blocked on the line. McKinley's shot for goal is rushed through for a behind. So the Eagles go to 7-7. Richmond 16 goals 11.
So Belidio down the middle. One of the few errors today by Foot from Richmond. He was looking for Farmer, fraught with danger, chipping in Prittis. A bit of hang time. He takes the mark, 40 for goal.
I think it was a bit of indecision by Farmer and Martin there.
As to who should go.
Yes, as to who should go.
So Matt Prittis for his second goal. And I think he's missed that. Well, that's a terrible miss from 35. Another can't win the game, but you've got to kick those. 7-8-50 to 16-11-107 at the 2-minute mark.
Kick in goes to Moore. Famous fullback's name, Kel Moore. Cross in front of goal, back to Chris Newman. A few pigeons just alongside there, not even bothered by the players moving about. Must be some wood worms to eat. Newman straight down the middle. Could be dangerous. It comes to Prittis. He loses the ball and a good tackle by Farmer. Bouncers the umpire. Comes to White of Richmond. Got it for a fair while. How long's he got up? It's going to be a ball up.
Let's be honest, there hasn't been a great standard of football throughout, and that's mainly because West Coast haven't been able to match the capacity that Richmond have brought to play with. I've been pretty impressed with them. I reckon they've got. We'll talk about their midfield after the game, but they're doing it pretty well.
Well, Delidio was up in the ruck, giving away a lot of height. I don't know, he leaned in. The umpire's deeming that he was shepherded out of it. What a quiet day he's had today, Natanui. Just doesn't get enough of it.
Might be his first genuine kick, is it? I'm not sure.
He's a centre half forward. First kick.
He's had 4 hand passes.
Gee. 5th possession. And he kicks close to the man on the mark. It's an awkward kicking style, and he pushes it left for another behind. So 3 behinds to West Coast, 7-9-51. Richmond 16-11-107. Adam, is it half-time at Docklands yet?
Yeah, it is, Dan. Half-time. The Bulldogs 7-9-51. Brisbane 5-2-32. So the Dogs by 19 points. Barry Hall has 3 for the Bulldogs. Buchanan 2 for the Lions.
The scoreboard tells us the inside 50s are 48-34. big imbalance in favour of the Tigers. Pritis working hard in this last quarter. It spills to Embley. He gets the hand pass away. And now centred ball by Jones. McGinnity in the centre square. He kicks towards the 50. LaCroix camped underneath the ball, and he was a sitting duck, and over the top of him came Moore.
I think he's injured his knee or his ankle or something in the drop.
And he came from a long way up.
Yep.
He's not too good, Kelmore. Have to give it to somebody else.
They kick over the head of their teammates, don't they, with their foot passes, West Coast. First time I've seen them this year. Can't believe how bad their foot skills are.
Moore limps away, and Deledio will take the kick.
It'd be a bad loss, wouldn't it?
Deledio straight up the ground, where the mark has been taken by Edwards. He wrong foots them one way, then the other. Through the circles he goes, having a bounce. Edwards just gets his kick away in time to a one-on-one. Actually finished up being 2-on-2, and mark dropped down there by Jones. Spills away to the Eagles. Pritis getting plenty of it in the last quarter. His hand pass up to Selwood. Little hand pass into Brown. Brown's kick towards half forward. Good, and Kennedy on the 50 takes the mark. There's an open forward line. Kennedy centres the ball for LaCroix, and he's 40 out right in front. And Mark LaCroix should kick his third.
They won short, weren't they? After having lost Kelmore, they didn't get one back. I think young Connors has been charging, but played one short and cost this opportunity for goal.
LaCroix, the leading goal kicker for the Eagles last year with 58. He's got 27 so far. So just about on schedule to repeat that. LaCroix right in front. The right foot drop punt is home for his third. Late consolation. Eagles 8-9-57. Richmond 16-11-107.
He's a good story, isn't he? At that size, for the last couple of years, he's been their best goal kicker. For his size, he marks strongly in contest. He's very good around his feet and around the ground, be able to crumb those things. He's a really good and different player up in the front half. Hard to match up against.
I think Kennedy and LaCroix both work pretty well in tandem together, and they're starting to get a good understanding of each other. Obviously the third one in there's McKinley, who's been okay today. He's had 5 shots on goal, so he's been okay.
And Quentin Lynch, of course, not in that side. You wonder what the future holds for him as Graham flicks it down. Pritis is there, shrugs the tackle, did well. A hand pass to Natanui, a hand pass to Cox, a hand pass to Scott Selwood. He's confronted, good enough to get a hand pass out to Dalziel. Arches the back to slip a tackle, kicks inside 50. McKinley and Kennedy there, crashing the pack, sets it up for LaCroix, hooks the right footer over the body, an opportunist shot at goal, pitches for Farmer, who's tackled right on the line and has to concede it behind as Beau Waters made sure that the tackle stuck, and it's another behind for West Coast doing all the attacking in the last quarter. 8-10-58 to 16-11-107 on Grandstand AFL. Bulldogs lead Brisbane by 19 points at half-time at Dolphins.
And after this, it'll be Fremantle against St Kilda at Subiaco. It comes to Tuck at half-back, up towards the middle of the ground. Tigers on the run here. Edwards has it, dodges a would-be tackler, kicks towards half-forward, knocked away by Embley, but it's gone Richmond's way. Getting back there is Hearn. Sweeps the hand pass in, taken by Schofield in the last line. He kicks towards the 50, and Stevenson takes the mark for the Eagles. He steers it up towards centre wing, where Ebert takes the mark right in front of the broadcast box. We've played 7 minutes of the last quarter, and Richmond heading for their second win of the season. They won 2 weeks ago in the wet over at Football Park, and they should roster meet all their games, because I'm going to see both their wins.
Well, Tambling does well on the turnover to intercept, but his hand pass was run down by Embley. He runs into trouble, but did well to have Dalziel in support, who's had a big second half. Receives on the southern wing, then kicks to Kennedy, who hasn't stopped presenting all day. He works hard. Kennedy at half forward. Nice kick. Measured it. McKinley on the lead, marks at centre half forward.
Well, when you see a build-up like that, which was well controlled, except for Cox's first kick back from the wing into half-back, it cleared everybody, and they were a bit lucky to recover a terrible kick. But their forward movement then kick to Kennedy was good, and Kennedy's kick to begin is giving him a shot inside 50. Just looked quite methodical. One of the few times for the day we've seen it.
McKinley from 55. His kicking's been off today. Not on that occasion. He thought, I'll lean back and just have a crack. The longer the distance, The more accurate the result, a couple for Ben McKinley, 13 for the season, 9-10-64. They've kicked the first couple of this quarter. Richmond 16-11-107.
Now Ben Nason leapt up for a spoil and landed awkwardly. He's come off the ground, Nick.
He has, Drew. I think he landed heavily either on his back or maybe hit the back of his head. Lost a little bit of wind, the old winded. He's sitting on the bench. The physio's not showing too much concern. But Kelvin Moore has gone up the race with that right leg complaint. Hasn't been seen. And obviously no sign of Nikoski with that right shoulder that was badly damaged in the second quarter.
3-1 possession-wise so far in this quarter. 32 West Coast, 11 Richmond. But it's all too late, of course.
Tigers have won the first 3 quarters, but they're losing the last quarter. Out of the middle comes Graham for the Tigers. His kick towards half forward is allowed to bounce and bobble around a bit till Embley gets a little hand pass back to McGinnity. Good pass up to the middle of the ground. It comes to Ebert. It comes out wide to Brown and back looking for Ebert, but he's put it into a contest here, and the contest is won by the Tigers. And the little pass by White up the ground. Here they come. Embley fights hard for the ball. His hand pass is chopped off by Collins. He runs out towards the broadcast wing and then hooks the ball. It's a poor old kick off the left into no man's land. Taken by Rosa, close to the boundary line. His hand pass up the field. Taken by Waters. He kicks into a contest. Grabbed by Tuck. Hand pass to Deledio. More to come for the Tigers. Deledio to Jack. Ball put on by Schofield. On the 50. Cousins buried. And the umpire is going to ball it up on the 50. Richmond in attack. They haven't been there too much in this last quarter. In fact, they are scoreless in 10 minutes. And the Eagles have kicked 2 goals, 4 in this last term.
Brett Jones living off for West Coast.
And who got him down? His teammate Embley ran straight through.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Ricochets from the contest to Collins. A hand pass to Edwards. Hooks inside 50. Wilkes another fist. It nearly went the wrong way. Does go the wrong way. There he is, Jack Riewoldt. Feeds on the carcass and kicks his 8th. 100 career goals for Riewoldt. Tigers' first goal of the last quarter. 17-11, 113. West Coast 9-10, 64. And I think, Adam, Bo Wilkes will have some defensive spoiling practice this week.
No doubt. He spoils back into the most dangerous area. But there was 3 West Coast players, and it was similar to what happened with McGuan and Deledio in the third quarter. It's just it's a communication thing. I think one of the basic fundamentals of being a good football team is talk, isn't it, though?
Absolutely. And he'll get 3 assists today. Bo Wilkes, 3 assists for the Tigers.
15 possessions, 6 marks, 8 goals, 2. That's a big day's work.
Took the Tigers 11 minutes to get their first score in this last quarter. Cox down to Prittis, but they're under pressure from a confident Richmond team at the moment. Edwards fights hard for the ball. There's a high tackle in here. It's going to be an Eagles free kick. That was Jackson coming in over the top of Prittis. Prittis, a little one, out by hand, comes to McGinnity. His kick inside the 50. It's a stack up. The umpire will ball this up about 40 metres out from goal.
Well, it's mentioned a couple of times, big chance of being in front of the Coleman medal, and that's an unbelievably good performance in a team that's only won 2 games this year and were belted in the first 7 or 8 weeks.
Yes, Dan, as you point out, that was his 100th goal in his 58th game. So clearly 8 goals is a PB by a fair way. This ball comes up and the little flea, the little Jake King.
Angry ant.
Yeah.
A very interesting stat would be the percentage of goals that Riewoldt kicked for the Tigers this season. I think it'll be up around the 40% mark.
No doubt.
Well, Tambling had his head over the ball and was met front on and high, and the free kick goes against Brad Ebert to Tambling just behind the wing. 113 plays 64, and at the end of this game we're going to hear one of the best songs in the AFL.
Oh, I think it's the best. Defensive side of the wing for Tambling. Lobs it to half forward, trying to work his way to the front. Vickery. Ball eventually follows him. A quick hand pass to Tuck. One out towards Riewoldt. Trying to vacuum in the front is Schofield. Bumped off it. Well played for the Tigers by King. Now to Nason, trying to get through traffic. Held up by McGinnity to Jackson. Spun around in a Cox tackle. Dalzill's there on hands and knees to Prittis. Spins out of a couple of tackles by hand of Waters. Quick give to Rosa. Steps inside and floats over the top in the middle to Shepherd. Hand pass to Dalzill. Met late. Hand pass now to Wilkes. Back to Dalzill. They're labouring. Mitchell Brown overruns the 2 for the Eagles. Their errors allow Richmond to lock it in. Front edge, centre square, very close to the circles. There'll be a ball up, a crowd of 30,870. I'd say 29,900 of those are Richmond supporters. 17-11-113, West Coast 9-10-64.
Edwards from a standing start in the middle of the ground. Kicks up towards half forward. The Eagles have the numbers, and the hand pass comes into Wilkes. Short pass, and Embley takes the mark. Back edge of the centre square. Well, their only win this year, Richmond, was over in Football Park, and they didn't have all that many supporters. Oh, Cousins chops off a horrible pass, and a chance for the Tigers again. Here's Jack, chest mark to Riewoldt from the Cousins pass, and Riewoldt is 48 metres out from goal, and he is looking for number 9.
West Coast had the best zone defence set up there of all time as they watched the ball go out and get turned over, and back it came, and no one could get anywhere near him.
Well, if he kicks this, the last quarter of an hour of this game are going to be frantic as he's going for 10, but he sprays it right, and it is actually out of bounds on the full and fails to score. So he's kicked 8 goals, 2 and 1 out of bounds, Jack Riewoldt. The Tigers 17-11 to the Eagles 9 goals, 10.
He's obviously had a great day today, Riewoldt, but I think the one thing that's really impressed me over this season has been his work ethic. He works to get to position.
So the Eagles kick in short. Dalziel receives in that back pocket on the southern side.
And having been criticised a bit by his lack of interest and chase and all that sort of thing a few weeks ago, he's actually responded.
Kicks to the wing. And a contested mark taken by West Coast, but Natanui gets a free kick. He was caught in the chopper. Wilkes had taken the mark. So Natanui camped at half-back on the southern side. Has to go backwards to Mackenzie. Now to Schofield, even though he's had 3 kicked on him by Riewoldt, he has battled a bit and hasn't done a bad job as he curls the kick around the body to Rosa. On the bounce, he stands still and then chips a high ball to Waters, who marks it comfortably at half-back. This is off by hand to Rosa. Feeds over the top to Embley. He's turned it over every time he's got it today. Embley drives inside 50, looking for someone to mark it. Wilkes is there. Had it whacked away. Crumbed at the front by Tambling for Richmond. Good hand pass to Asprey. Feeds over the top to the running Connors. Good comeback today. Delivers to White on his own on the members' wing. Tigers by 49 points. 16 gone, final quarter.
And we had Graham on his own for a long time, and eventually White does give it to Graham, centre wing. Well, pumping for Jack to kick 10. He needs 2 more for the 10. And 10 goals hasn't been kicked in a game since 2007. It was Jonathan Brown. And the last Tiger to kick 10 was Matthew Richardson in 2004.
Against the Bulldogs. Called that, I remember it well, unfortunately.
Dalziel kicks the Eagles out of defence, and the mark taken by Kennedy in between half-back and wing. Possibly their best, although Pritis has had a heap of the ball and has squillion touches in the last quarter. The kick up to the middle of the ground. Wilkes has taken the mark. He now kicks towards McKinley, who slides in on his knees and marks about 47 metres from goal.
So pleased to see Wilkes actually use the other hand then. He actually caught the ball. He was trying to catch it one hand, defend it one hand, do everything else. He actually put 2 hands out and marked that ball in the middle of the ground. I had to check to see what number was on his back.
So we've played 17 minutes of the last quarter. 113 plays 64. McKinley has kicked 2 goals, 2 today. Kicks from 49 metres, gets some distance. That is a beautiful kick, and he's kicked his 3rd.
It was interesting. We all saw over the last couple of years a bloke who had the potential, I think, to be outstanding at either full forward or centre half forward. And for some reason, he didn't break into this side until, round 6 or 7 this year. So there's got to be something in his makeup which is irritating the coaching staff and preventing from being in. He doesn't do enough, but what he does is full of class, in my opinion.
Well, that's 3 goals. As mentioned, it's not a bad forward line if it all works.
Well, he's kicked 3, Lacroix 3, Kennedy 2.
And I still think there's a role for Lynch there, but obviously the coach doesn't at the moment.
Well, I know you play the 4, Dan. I think once you've made up your mind whether it's McGinney or Lynch, you can't really play the 4.
Well, the Lacroix's a bit different, of course, David. Yep. Bounced down as Graham two-handed towards the teammate in Cochin, and he'll get a free kick off the play. near the centre circles. Trent Cotchin is arriving inside 50. Riewoldt to be the target! Yes! We're on Jack Watch at the MCG. Slightly left half forward. And he can kick his ninth.
He's a very gifted young man. I keep telling people I watched the Clarence Glenorchy Grand Final 4 or 5 years ago, and he kicked 6 that day on people's heads, taking 7 or 8 marks on people's heads.
For his 9th goal, Jack Riewoldt doesn't do the job. Misses to the left-hand side. His effort today, 8-3. Not far behind what West Coast have done collectively. 10-10-70, the margin 44 points, 19 gone, final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Oh, the kick in by Hearn, straight up the ground, but straight onto the chest of Tambling. And the crowd's right behind the Jack push. They want it in the hands of Jack Riewoldt. Long kick back to a crowded forward line. No mark, it spills to the back. Cox is there for the Eagles. He's taken to ground. He gets some sort of a hand pass out. Cotchin hits it hard. It's taken to the boundary line, but the ball's still alive. Now it finishes up going out of bounds. It might have been actually on the full off a back heel, accidental, but no, it will be thrown in.
And remember, you made the point about we can't become too Riewoldt conscious. I think that's going to be one of the dangers in this.
Yep. Tuck, clean possession. Hand pass to Jackson. He kicks to the goal square. It bounces away from Nason. Oh, it was run over the boundary line by Mackenzie. And the ardent Richmond fans want it deliberate, but it's going to be thrown in alongside the behind post. Dan, can you get Jackie's 9?
I'll try, Drew. Deep in the Richmond attacking zone at the punt road end. Natanui wins in, knocks it to ground. I think there's going to be a free kick. Is it going Riewoldt's way? It is. The umpires have a sense of theatre. I am going to get him his 9.
And guess which umpire gave it to him? The bloke was sitting up here in the ground. He's back in the centre circle. He gave it about 120 metres away. It was a slight hold on the wrist. He's holding up the hand on the wrist. He got him. Good get, umpire.
Yeah,
good get.
Schofield was there trying to keep him out of it.
Good get.
Not a lot in it, but enough in it.
Good get.
Right forward pocket, 25 out. This is money for Jam for Riewoldt. For goal number 9. That tells the story. Oh, what a day he's had. 18-12, 120 Richmond. West Coast, 10-10-70.
What was Richo's best?
10.
10.
Yeah, against the Bulldogs, he kicked 10 goals 3 in 2004.
Yep.
And Jack Riewoldt has a chance to become only the second Tiger in 19 years to kick 10 goals in a game. Because prior to Richo, it was Jeff Hogg against Collingwood here at the MCG in 91.
Gee.
Very, not similar in nature, I wouldn't say, Drew, would you?
And
Hoggy and
I've called all of them. I've called all of those. I love full forwards getting a bag.
Hogg and Riewoldt, you couldn't get too big a comparisons, eh? Well, and we've got to ride it home.
Well, plenty of time left, 21.5 minutes. The bounce in the centre. Selwood, a late inclusion for the Eagles. He paddles the ball away. Back into Ebert. To Cox. He gets a hand pass to Natanui. Standing start kick. A rare touch for Nick Nat today. And a leaping mark taken by McGuan at centre half back for the Tigers. They've got to go the length of the ground to Riewoldt. Gets it away to his skipper. Chris Newman kicks it out wide. The ball sits up. Taken by Connors. He gets it to White. He kicks towards half forward. All Eagles here. And running back in the same direction as the ball. Mark taken by Waters. They zigzag it around in defence. And bring it outside the 50. Where now the mark has been taken by Dalziel. It's 120-70. So the lead is 50 points. The Eagles have actually won the last quarter.
At the moment they have. Mark taken at centre half back by Stevenson. A hand pass to Waters. Little pass to Wembley. Now to Cox. Back to Wembley again. Had a shocker today. Runs through the centre. Turns it over. I think every disposal has nearly been a turnover. Kennedy was trying to run onto it, but filling the hole at centre half back courageously to Lidio for the Tigers. Swings it wide to Newman as the Seagulls disperse on the MCC member side. Now to Mitch Farmer. Defensive side of the wing. 50 points in front. We've got Brisbane next week, the Tigers. Riewoldt now 29 goals in his last 5 matches. Oh, he overkicks Delidio. Turnover for Embley again to McKinley. Embley feeds a hand pass over the top. Dalziel from 40 leans back and nails it for West Coast. And they get one back. 11-10-76. Richmond 18-12, 120. 23 minutes in the final quarter. Adam, have they started at Docklands yet the second half?
Yeah, they have, Dan. 3.5 minutes gone in the third term. The Bulldogs have done all the attacking but can't find the main upright. 7-11-53 Bulldogs. Brisbane 5-2-32. And we've just seen Brendan Favola kick his first goal of the day.
Well, Mitch Farmer's decision there, Rama.
Yeah, he just needed to push the ball. We just get it on quickly. He had the options going forward. He chose to wait and then made a basic error.
Still plenty of time left. A good 4 minutes of actual playing time left. The clock ticks over to 24 minutes as the umpire bounces. Riewoldt sitting on 9 goals, 3. The bounce. Graham taken to ground by Natanui. Ball spills here to Jackson. Jackson on the turn. Kicks to centre half forward. A magnificent mark taken by Waters.
It's been good today, Waters. He has tried hard.
He takes him on, gets the hand pass away under pressure. It misses the target. Nason grabs it. The little hand pass away to Cousins. Back to Nason. He kicks long. Here's Jack. Middle of the pack, no mark. Jack King is there. It's knocked towards the boundary line by Hearn. Doesn't go out. Embley gets it for the Eagles. Cousins comes in hard and hits it well. Taken to ground, and the umpire is going to ball it up. 52 metres out from goal. Benny Cousins against his old team.
We touched on Jake King before the game. He's been sensational on Shannon Hearn. Shannon Hearn's their most attacking defender, but he's just done the job on Shannon Hearn today.
Natanui climbs in and whacks it away towards the boundary. Still at half-back.
His possession rate, he had 15 the first half and basically nothing early, but he's gone back to do that job and has done it with great talent.
Good tap, Natanui, but straight down the throat of Jackson for the opposition. Kicks inside 50, missed by Waters. Chance now, good hand pass. Collins to Tuck, drives long. Riewoldt's there with Schofield. Riewoldt! Has he got it falling to ground in one hand? He's taken it! He can go for double figures, Big Jack.
He
thought about running around.
Looking to give it off. That would have upset everybody else. He wasn't really.
He wasn't really
just looking inside to see if somebody was on. Glad to see all his teammates covered.
Jack Riewoldt, fairly acute angle, tucked in the forward pocket. Southern side of the ground for goal number 10. First player to do it is Drew Set for 3 seasons. Riewoldt, he's done it! 10 goals, Jack Riewoldt. And they come from everywhere. It's like he's kicked the goal after the siren. What a day for Jack Riewoldt.
You listen to the Tiger fans, it's sensational, and he's pumping them up. He's giving the fist pump to him, and all credit to him. He's taken 7 contested marks from the game. He's absolutely worked his backside off for these 10 goals, and he's had a super 6 weeks of football, and I guess this is the rewards that you get for it, isn't it?
There's plenty of people have come here today. Dads with their kids, Richmond scarves and jumpers. They've probably had their best day at the footy for 10 years.
19-12, 1-2-6. How long has it been since Richmond have kicked a score like this? West Coast 11-10-76, at least a couple of years, I would have thought.
Natanui up high in the middle, wins the hit out and hits it to himself, kicks towards half forward. Still minutes left. Don't tell me Jack could get some more. Comes to Brown of the Eagles. Little hand pass back to Dalziel. A high kick towards full forward, and it's all the Eagles, and the mark taken by Ebert about 35 metres from goal. 126-76. Ebert, goalless today, just 1 behind.
They've got to take him off now, don't they, Riewoldt? Let him get the big cheers from the crowd. And
Martin comes off. He's had a big day, Dustin Martin. Cousins comes on. As the shot for goal from Ebert misses to the right-hand side. 2 behinds for him for the day. See, this will be the 4th loss in a row for the Eagles, but just the 2nd win of the season for the Tigers, and that yellow and black is not far away.
And it'll be sung magnificently because the other win was away. A lot of fans weren't there for that. Kick by Nason to Jackson. Turns an opponent inside out. Kicks down the Great Southern stand side. At the drop, the Eagles defend through Nikoski. Waters another possession. Out in the direction of Embley. Got it to Prittis. Kicks down the southern side. Player on his own takes the mark at Scott Selwood. Brother Adam a late withdrawal today. In his 20th game, squares it up to Waters. One of West Coast's best, as Adam said. Kicks inside 50. Making a good contest. Was Rosa down to Natanui. Can he do something brilliant? No, he won't. He won't on that occasion. He tried to burst through. Couldn't bust the tackle. Got held up. And it's going to be a Richmond free kick at half-back. The skipper, Chris Newman, solid as usual. His team 49 points in front at the 29-minute mark.
Well, Riewoldt's not chasing personal glory. He's up near the centre circle, so he's not looking to add to his 10 goals. And he sent Griffiths forward to the goal square. Here comes Cousins' kick, and the mark has been taken by Asprey at half-back for the Tigers. He kicks towards the wing for Jackson. Good mark. Fox knocked him over, front on. Jackson crawls up to take the mark. Little hand pass away. Collins tumbles the ball towards half-forward. All the Eagles. First back there, Stevenson. Good effort by White, but Stevenson emerges with the ball. Away to Selwood, and the hand pass away. Wilkes kicks into the... Asprey came straight at him. It was Ebert working back in defence, and a good smother by Asprey. David Asprey in his 8th game. Going pretty well, just a 19-year-old. And he's part of the future for the Tigers, which is right here.
They've blooded all those first-year players, and all bar Taylor have played more than one game. Kick came out of the pack to McKinley. A hand pass to Rosa by hand to Scott Selwood. Squaring ball to centre half forward. Wilkes a few to beat from the side. A towering mark taken by the Ledio at half-back for the Tigers. He seems to have found his spot at half-back. He's in short now to Farmer. Getting better with each match. Game number 13 today. Siren! Big win for the Tigers. Second one of the season. First at home. They've belted West Coast 19-12, 1-2-6 to 11-11-77. Richmond supporters, get your vocal cords fired up. Black we've heard for some time, and why not? They were favourites going into this match, and the favourite has saluted. First time favourites this year. They kicked 6 goals to 2 in the first quarter, 5 to 1 in the second. They led by 48 points, increased their lead in the third, and eventually, even though they got outscored in the last quarter, far too good to win by 49 points. West Coast only kicked 11 goals. Jack Riewoldt kicked 10, and they'll sing this song forever. Supporters in the competition are Richmond supporters. They've been through a lot, but I reckon they can see lots of light at the end of the tunnel, particularly from a fellow from Tasmania, even though there's some bad news with Kelvor, as he walks limply to give a football to some young supporters in the front row in the member stand. Heavily bandaged his ankle, lots of ice around it. Jack Riewoldt, the start of days, kicked 10. Nason 3, Martin 2, and 1 each to Farmer, Collins, Vickery, and also Matt White for West Coast. McKinley booted 3, as did Lacroix, 2 to Kennedy, and 1 to Matt Prittis in a big win for the Richmond Tigers by 49 points.
Dan, it looks as though Jack Riewoldt has shrugged off the television interviewer. Normally he'd be the first to be interviewed, having kicked 10, but instead the captain's being interviewed, and Jack's taken red and yellow and black football down to the fence and handed over to a kid over the fence, and he's lapping up the accolades down at the punt road end of the MCG. Big Jack.
Well, I'm pleased what he did, True. I mean, they were coming together as a group, and he was grabbed by Liam Pickering to come over. He brushed him off and said team. I'm going over there, and he shared the time with them.
And he shook the hands of every Eagles player as well. He went round the group.
It was a terrific response to a young man who'd be absolutely on cloud nine now. I thought he saw the thing in a balanced light. That might be a strange thing to say. I've been a bit critical of the kid.
Richmond supporters must share their joy with us. We'll get down the rooms with Nick Jewell in a minute. You reckon the crowd singing the song was great? In the Richmond rooms, it'll be fantastic. 1300 222 774.
I tell you, he's really excited. Ben Cousins against his old team. You know, he was there for a premiership for the West Coast Eagles. He is like a teenager out there celebrating Richmond's win.
Look, this is what you're here for. You're here to win games of football, and that's what it means. Richmond have lost a lot of football games over the last couple of years, but they need to now get that mentality of winning. It's it's not something that happens sometimes. Winning needs to be something that happens all the time. And I think Damien Hardwick, as he was as a player, he's a winner, and that's what he'll try to instill into his players.
Just before we get down the Richmond rooms and spend a lot of time on the Tigers' victory, we'll get an update. We'll hear more from Stan and Adam shortly, but just an update at the moment from Docklands from Adam White.
Dan, you could hear the Richmond song from Docklands. They were so excited and so loud. 14 minutes gone here in the third term, and the Bulldogs have just put the foot down on the accelerator pedal. 2 quick goals, and the Doggies now 10-11-71. Brisbane 6-3-39. Barry Hall has kicked 5 goals. Not 10, but still he's playing very well.
Well, he's got 42 in the Coleman medal, and Jack's got 45. It would be a great story, wouldn't it, if Jack Riewoldt won the Coleman?
It would, in terms of where their development is now. We're a bit anxious that it might become a Brendan Favola single-focused build-up, and they don't want that to happen any way, shape or form. But what's terrific for the short term and long term, just a quick comment, they are building a sensational midfield. They ran Martin, this is without Delidio, who played at half-back, without Cousins, who's come to the end of his career, King, Edwards, Collins, Cochin, Farmer, Connors, Tambling, Tuck, Jackson, Mason and White all went through the middle today. It was fantastic.
Thank you in a minute, Parker. Let's get down to the Richmond rooms. Nick Jewell's down there.
Certainly am, Dan. A very happy bunch of boys. High fives all around. And I heard you talking about team first out here. They're a very tight group as they come into the change rooms. Unfortunately, Kelvin Moore on the crutches, but he just turfed those. They're gone. So the ankle's not too bad. Here we go, boys. Very happy bunch down here, boys.
Well, as we mentioned a bit earlier, Nick, their first win this season was in Port Adelaide. They had as big an inner circle as you're ever going to have, with all the debutants celebrating a win for the first time. But this probably means a bit more being at home here at their sacred MCG. So they were pretty raucous, weren't they?
They're very happy down here, boys, and I've got one of the very good players today, Brett Deludio. Mate, what a feeling. Teammate kicks 10 goals and a huge win in front of the faithful.
Yeah, it was fantastic for Jackie Boy. He's been showing some real signs lately. You know, he's kicked bags of 4, 5 and 6. You know, today was just the cherry on top for him. He was fantastic.
It's been building, hasn't it, in the last few weeks? Obviously the first win against Port Adelaide, but there's just been signs that the younger players are starting to really get their hands on the ball. Young Martin's almost dominating in the first quarter today, and obviously the senior harder bodies like yourself adding to the mix, and it's all coming together.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Dustin Martin, I mean, he's got a seasoned body. You know, he's thick, and he just crashes in there and finds a footy for us, gets it going our way. I think he copped his first tag in the second half there, but he worked through that. You know, it's a good signs all around, Julie, I think.
Obviously the work at Cricket Victoria is starting to rub off, and winning a few games of football makes it a much more enjoyable place to be.
Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. I enjoy getting down there with you boys, but I'm just looking forward to the season getting back up and started.
Well, we could use you, actually. They're looking for an opening batsman, I hear. I'll throw you upstairs to David Parkin and Adam Ramanauskas.
Brett, Brett, it was a sensational win. Not to just one bloke kicks 10 goals and you finish off your work. But the method you're using now, I see you setting up at half-back and I think, maybe he's part of the midfield. But when I looked at the numbers of blokes who went through there without you being there today, you're building a really talented group of inside and outside players, aren't you, through the midfield?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think that's a key to most midfields being strong. You've got to be able to have plenty of numbers go through there. So, look, boys, I'm going to have to cut it short. I'm sorry, I've got to go inside for a meeting. Keep a lid on it, huh?
These boys, they'll be out shortly. Just been called in for a quick meeting, so we'll hang around down here. Definitely enjoy the spoils.
Nick, can you just explain the connection with the cricket team and Brett?
Yeah, sure. Brett Deludio. Brett's doing a traineeship, if you like, through the AFL scheme. Some people go out to golf courses and work, curators, or in the pro shop, or some people go to marketing companies. Brett's down doing his traineeship in cricket and in sort of the management side. Obviously, he was fantastic, regarded as a highly skilled cricketer as a junior, so much so David Hooks wanted to contract him before the Tigers got their claws onto him, and he loves his cricket, so he's been working for probably the last 12 months now. See him on game day, just helping out in the nets, feeding balls and throwing balls and down at training. So great for the cricketers to see an AFL player around, because every cricketer thinks they're a gun footballer and vice versa. But obviously a bit of our success is starting to rub off.
That's it. All three generations of the Jewell family down there to celebrate?
They are, yeah, in for the song, which is fantastic. Security guards tried to stop them, but no chance.
No, I wouldn't have thought. Good on you, Nick. We'll hear from you a little bit later. Now, we want to get back to Docklands in a minute, but we're wanting Richmond supporters to share their joy. A bit of light at the end of the tunnel for the Tigers after they belted West Coast today by 49. 1300 222 774. I've got a very special guest on the phone. Ella joins us on Grandstand Football. Hello, Ella. How are you?
Good.
Now, you're a Richmond supporter. Obviously delighted with the way the Tigers went today.
Yeah.
Who's your favourite Richmond player, Ella?
Matty Richardson, but he is retired.
What about now, though? Now that Matty Richardson is retired.
I don't really know him.
Good on you, Ella. Sorry?
Riewoldt.
Riewoldt. Jack Riewoldt.
Yeah,
he was very good today, wasn't he, Ella?
Thank you for your call, Ella. Very happy Richmond supporter, and she might just be supporting Adam the Tigers at the right time as they start a bit of a climb up the ladder after some very barren years.
That's right, and as I was saying, winning is a habit, and Richmond need to continue to improve in their development. But I think what you can see is Damien Hardwick he's going to be very true to his word in developing these guys. He's given, as yourself and Drew said, Dan, he's given guys, all their first year players, they're playing regularly. He's not just putting it in the team for a week and then saying go back to the reserves. He's given them 3, 4, 5 games to show them what it's like to play in the AFL environment, and then sending him back to the reserves and going to work on things. So he's got a process in place that I think is only points to really positive signs. You look at the way they structure up. Yes, they've got the bones of a pretty strong team at the minute. Riewoldt, then they've got a couple of key defenders, Cal Moore, McGuan, Thursfield, who wasn't in the side today. But then their midfield of Martin and Cochin at the moment, you can throw Deledio into the mix there. They're starting to form a pretty good, solid nucleus of a team.
We've got a full board of calls. We'll get to them in a second, but let's just find out a little bit more at Docklands from Adam White and Stan Elves, Bulldogs and Brisbane. A big match between those two sides today.
It's been a very impressive third quarter from the Western Bulldogs, Dan, because the Doggies have kicked the last 5 goals and lead 12-12-84 to Brisbane 6-3-39. 22 gone in the third quarter. Things were starting to look a little shaky for the Bulldogs when Brisbane kicked the first goal of the third term to cut the margin to just 13 points. The Doggies, as I said, looking a little shaky, but then they turned it on thanks largely to the efforts of Barry Hall and a very good midfield. Stan Elves has been watching it with me. Stan, is that how you sort of see it, that they were looked in a little bit of trouble?
I reckon you're spot on. There's no doubt they looked in real trouble. I thought Brisbane came out just superbly. Favola kicked a lovely goal from out wide, and I thought, wow, Brisbane are going to lift here, but just can't sustain that pressure, and I think that they started to open them up. Blokes around the pack, Cross and Griffin and Cooney started to get that running game going, and players in the Western Bulldogs side who look to be struggling all want to get on the end of it now, and they've got such a focal point, haven't they? Hall has just been superb up there with his goals and his setup and things like that. Hahn has lifted, but I think the other end of the ground, that's as much the story, is it's the slow ball movement that's coming into Favola. Favola's rarely had a chance to have a one-on-one today. The players have been able to peel off Lake and Murphy and Co just peeling off. Morris just going man on man, which stops him jumping up. And then what's happening? Then we initiate our attacks, get the ball out to the running players, Harbrow and Co. Off we go, and down it goes on the forward line. And to kick the 5 unanswered goals they did at the moment, all of a sudden the confidence has deserted Brisbane, and they've become enormously ragged.
It really has been a stunning transformation in 15 minutes because, as I said, when the Lions kicked that first goal, I reckon there was some doubts coming into some of the Bulldogs players, and it was just a couple of times it went down inside 50. Barry took the marks he had to take, kicked the goals just to give them that advantage, and as you said, then it really started to turn around.
Yeah, you summed it up. I looked at players at the Western Bulldogs at that time, and they were all just standing flat-footed. Nobody wanted to run, nobody wanted to get involved. They were a little bit worried about the whole thing. Then the confidence lifted, isn't it? Hall just playing such a superb footly. He probably could have kicked a few more. He's been penalised for a couple of body infringements, but he's got total control and dominance. Scoreboard pressure comes. All of a sudden, blokes aren't as tight as they thought they were, and they all want to go and get a kick.
Yeah, you talked about the Bulldogs midfield. Boyd 22, Cooney 21, Cross 21, and one of my favourites, Griffin 23. They've just dominated them.
And the difference is that when they're getting the footy, they're actually putting it under their arm and going, aren't they? That's the critical thing. Carry it, you're 10 or 15, or have a bounce, kick the ball, kick over the line, give our forwards up there a chance to get one-on-one. It's amazing. One end of the ground, Favola's fighting 2 and 3 out. Down the other end of the ground, Hall's having the luxury of only having to beat one man.
Yeah, it's a good point. 25 minutes gone now in the third term. The Bulldogs 12-84. We've got Brisbane on 6-3-39. Just the multiple goal kickers. I know there's lots of Richmond fans wanting to have a chat. Hall's kicked 5. Stack and Minson have kicked 2 each. And for Brisbane, 2 to Buchanan. Brendan Favola just the 1 goal.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Stan. Back to you a little bit later throughout the afternoon. Our twilight match today, St Kilda and Fremantle. But you're right. The Tigers supporters are here. They're up and about. And let's hear from them now on 1300 222 774. We'll get back down to the Richmond room shortly. Mark from Aspendale, you're our second caller. Mark, welcome.
How you going, guys?
Very well.
Very, very excited. Long time Richmond supporter. Some of us say suffering Richmond supporter, but my little 8-year-old girl loves the Tigers. Take it ice kick. It's amazing down here at Aspendale how many there wear the yellow and black, and I think there's a fantastic future coming for the guys.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, I think we all agree with that. That was a terrific result today, and the last 5 or 6 weeks have been pretty good by Richmond. They certainly turned it around. They were good against Hawthorn, competitive after a slow start against Essendon, blew Port away in the wet. We're okay against St Kilda last week.
The Crows, they could have won that game.
Yeah, Crows was the other one. They just had that bad last quarter, and of course... I think the Geelong match was the one where they were just virtually non-competitive. Well, after that, they've been okay.
There's a few that have been non-competitive against the Cats.
Exactly. Brett from Tasmania. Good afternoon to you, Brett.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, Brett.
I'm very rapid with. I've got one complaint and one absolute positive. Richmond Football Club, absolutely positive. Jack Riewoldt, Matthew Richardson, all the Tasmanian footballers that come through. But you know what happened today on ABC? This is my complaint. In Tasmania, after half-time, we never heard no half-time comments about the football. All we got was rugby league up until West Coast had scored the 3 goals in the third quarter. I had a tear in my eye when Jack Riewoldt kicked 10 goals, but we missed out on about 20 minutes. And this is why. Is it Greater Western Sydney or should it be Tasmania?
What? Down in Tasmania? Tasmania were carrying our coverage. Look, we'll chase that up for you, Brett. I'd be very surprised. They're part of our network for AFL, Tasmania, South Australia, Western Australia and Victoria. Queensland and New South Wales and Canberra obviously take the rugby league. Darwin split a bit, but the others are definitely part of the AFL coverage. I'd be very surprised that you didn't get all of the second half in Tasmania, because I dare say all the other states would have. But look, leave that with us and we'll check that out. Were you listening? Just a question for you. Are you listening to digital radio or are you listening to local radio?
936, I listened to it for 20 years, and today it was rugby league, and it was Northern Knights versus the New Zealand team, and that was, we missed the whole halftime summary, and we missed the first 3 goals West Coast kicked in the third quarter. Then we got the coverage back. Yeah.
All right, we'll chase that up for you, Brett. Thanks so much for your call. Good win by the Tigers today. Darryl from Maryborough. G'day, Darryl.
How you going, buddy?
We're
Good
well,
call,
mate.
boys.
Yourself? Thanks.
Yeah, good. A long-time Richmond supporter. It's good to see the boys starting to get a bit of play together. I'd just like to say to our chairman, our board, sign all them young fellas up to 10-year deals. Otherwise, we're going to be bait for Gold Coast. They're going to be going after Martin, all our good boys. And we're finally back on track. I don't just want to see us lose out again.
Thanks very much,
10
Darryl.
years is a bit long.
Well, Adam and David, I don't think Dustin Martin, even though Kevin Sheedy's been saying, you know, why would you want to stay at Richmond? That's just Sheeds playing fun and games. I don't think he's going anywhere, is he?
Nah, look, he's a first-year player, so I'm guessing he wouldn't even be thinking about that stuff. But yeah, look, Darryl's right. They have got some good young players, but at the same time, it's their development needs to continue, and it's Damien Hardwick needs to be. I guess very bullish about the direction of the club and keep pushing them in that direction, and that's obviously with the youth.
And they'll stay. If that exactly as you stated there, if that's the vision they have and they believe they want to be a part of it and they're actually on the road and driving forward, they'll stay.
Thanks very much for your call. Val from Tasmania joins us now. Welcome to you, Val.
Oh, hi. Yeah, good call, fellas.
Thank you, Val.
Absolutely fantastic. As you're probably aware, yes, I'm a one-eyed Richmond supporter and have been for many, many years.
Good on you.
Listen, I think there's a lot to be said about these Tassie forwards playing for Richmond. When we go back to the Michael Roach, Richo, Riewoldt, there's a lot to be said.
Royce Hart.
Royce Hart, sorry. And I really look forward to the next couple of years with Richmond because I really think we're going to go places.
You are right.
Good on you, Val.
Val, did you miss a bit of the broadcast during the afternoon?
I sure did, and I'm absolutely peed off because my sentiments to that caller that phoned in, yes, absolutely terrible. We missed all the 3 goals, consequently, that was kicked by West Coast, and it didn't matter. You couldn't get nothing. Only this stupid thing from Queensland or wherever it was. No, not good.
I just want to touch on Riewoldt. He had a few deficiencies in his game the last couple of years. He's gone back and he's worked hard on them, and his work ethic now around the inside the forward 50 is tremendous. He actually runs his defenders off their feet with just leading again, flying for marks, and then I think something that's underestimated in his game also is that contested mark and those contested situations. How good he is at positioning his body to where the ball's going to drop.
I think that's the big thing that you alerted me to today. It didn't matter where it was coming from. He knew how to plant, when to hit, and get the right body position to take the marks. He must have taken 7 of the 9 contested mark, and he took 7 of them.
We'll get back to our callers in just a second. Just before Chris Newman, a 3/4 time score at Docklands from Adam White.
Thanks, Dan. I'm just watching Michael Voss get all these players together and absolutely give it to them because the Bulldogs are completely on top here. 3/4 time, the Doggies 13-12-90 to Brisbane 6-4-40, so it's a 50-point lead. The Bulldogs kicking the last 6 goals of that third term. So Barry Hall has got 5 for the Dogs, 2 to Stack and 2 to Minson. Singles to Grant, Eagleton, Gene Syracusa and Hill. And for Brisbane, 2 to Buchanan. And then singles to Favola, Staker, Redden and Rispatelli.
Thanks, Adam. Back to you and Stan shortly, but back down to the Richmond rooms, and Chris Newman is with Nick Jewell. Nick?
Dan, have got Chris Newman. Mate, as skipper, there hasn't been too many wins so far in the last few years, but that was a beauty today.
Yeah, it was. I was really wrapped for the boys. It was a different sort of feeling. We actually started favourites for some reason throughout the week, so I was always a little bit worried about how the group would handle it, being so young. But I thought we were first class the way we handled it. We sort of had a focus of being proactive and coming out and throwing the first punch, and I thought we did that.
Speaking of being so young, one of the young guns, if we like, that hopefully he's not going anywhere as a Tiger fan, Dustin Martin, 13 or 14 touches in the first quarter, really led from the front, and as you heard from Brett Deledio earlier, sort of faced the tag for the first time, so exciting times.
Yeah, exciting times, different challenges for Dustin, and I thought he handled himself really well in the first quarter, set us up. He's really hard to tackle. He gives us that drive from the middle, and he's setting us up, like I said, so pleasing for him.
Inside the club, have you seen the improvement, not just on the scoreboard, but have you seen the improvement in the players building at training and games yourself as a skipper who's been around for a long time?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where it starts, on the training track, and I think that was one of our issues in previous years. We just didn't train hard enough, so I think along with the new coaching staff and the playing group, we've really had a focus of training hard, because we feel like if we do that, we'll transfer that out in the park.
Who's been responsible for the intensity lift, if you like, on the track, the coaches or some new players to the club?
Oh, probably a bit of both. I think I've been really impressed with the way the younger guys have handled themselves, and I think with our leadership group, I think we're training really well, so hopefully we can keep that up. That's a challenge for a young group.
Got the winning skipper waiting for you boys upstairs.
Chris, what was the coach's message to you guys after the game? You guys sung the song and we're all very excited, but he was very quick to grab the boys and into the room.
Yeah, I think he just really wanted us to enjoy the winning feeling for 10 minutes and just understanding quickly that we've got a big game next week against Brisbane, so we're going to be challenged, and I think he just wants us to get our bodies right. We've got a 6-day break. So.
It was interesting, Chris, because we were doing an interview with one player who shall go not be named. He said, I've got to go, the coach is going to tell us to keep a lid on it.
What was that? Sorry,
one of your teammates. We won't name him, but he was doing his interview, but he was called away. He said the coach is going to tell us to keep the lid on it. So I'm pleased that Damien actually said enjoy it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, he does that. I think that Damien's just really, he wants us to enjoy that feeling. I think it was Troy Simmons that said the best feeling in football is that 10 minutes after you win, that winner's ache. So
absolutely,
I think because we haven't had many wins, I think we've got to enjoy it while we can.
Yeah, Chris, and I've just made the comment all afternoon. The number and quality of the young guys going through the midfield, that's without you or Delidio actually being there at the moment. That is building something special for the future, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the boys have got faith in each other, or they believe in each other's ability. As long as we have our structures and setups right, I think we're really good at clearing the ball. So
best in the competition at the moment.
Best in the competition, which is something that we're really proud of. But the next challenge now is to be clean from the middle and actually give our forwards some good use, which I thought we did that today.
Yeah, pretty good. And look, my question then is, young David Asprey and young Ben Griffiths didn't do much today, but there's got to be another, can we say, marking target, goal-kicking player. Not only can't come back on Jack all the time, can it?
No, it can't. And I think that Ben Griffiths is going to be a good player for us. Just understanding that that's his second game and probably his first dry game out in the MCG. So I think he'll be that focal point.
And Chris, the fact that you've got all these young players, do you feel, having been at the club a long time now, that there is more optimism regarding what the future holds compared to past years with this list?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said before, we've got faith in each other and believe in each other's abilities. And I think, we've got a really good spread now. I thought the back line held up really well, and a young midfield handled themselves. They were first class today. So, as I said, the challenge is to back that up every week, and we're going to come up against some really quality sides.
You got Daniel Connors back into the side after his club-imposed suspension. He's been knocking the door down in the VFL, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's been terrific in the VFL. He's showed that he's probably above that level, and he's an AFL player now. So I was really wrapped with the way he went today. Must have been a lot of pressure on him, a bit of a build-up during the week, and I thought he contributed really well.
And Chris, Jay King's role today on Shannon Hearn obviously was Shannon was a guy that you obviously thought would have a big effect on the game, and I thought Jay King was sensational today on him.
Yeah, he's a beauty, Kingy. He sort of goes about his job, and I think Shannon Hearn's a go-to man in their backline, so it was really important that he shut that option down, and I thought he did that. He gets a game every week because he does the team things.
And the final one from me, Shane Tuck. He was out of the side at the start of the year, and it looked like he was going to, finish out his career in the reserves, but he's just turned it around amazingly.
He has. He's had a good few weeks, and he, along with Dustin Martin and Trent Cotchin in the middle, I think that's the main reason we're winning clearances so much. So, Tucky's one of those guys that gives everything every week, and wrapped to have him in the team.
And at the other end of the age scale, Ben Cousins, he was very excited on the siren and was loving to sing the song against his old team.
Yeah, he was excited. He addressed us before the game, and this was one that he really wanted to get. I think he gives us so much more than just his football ability out on the ground. he gets us together off the field, and he's a real inspiration for a lot of the younger groups. So I was rapt to see him win against his old side.
Well done, Chris. Congratulations. There's some optimism at Tigerland now. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Chris Newman, the captain of Richmond, after they blew West Coast away, winning by 49 points. Let's get back to our callers. I want to talk a little bit about West Coast before we cross to Subiaco, and we'll get some more updates from Docklands in just a second. The Bulldogs heading for a big win there. Gary from Shepparton has joined us on Grandstand AFL. Good afternoon to you, Gary.
G'day, fellas. Great call today.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, I've just got a couple of questions. The first one is, I said to my missus, she's a Richmond supporter. I go for Collingwood, by the way. But I said to her, Terry Wallace was going to be the best thing that ever happened to Richmond. And I had to eat me words, of course. But is Richmond and Damien Hardwick bearing the fruits now, or from Terry Wallace's recruiting and what he did at the club, or is it just Damien Hardwick? And one last thing. What of Mitch Morton now? Where's he? Where's he at? Because I still feel Richmond needs one more big forward.
Yep.
Or some sort of target.
I'll answer the first question first.
Yep.
Look, I think that Terry definitely did get a few of these younger guys in the side, but at the same time, I think Damien's now giving them a chance to actually develop. Terry would...
More game time, as you said
More
before.
game time and giving them responsibilities out in the field. And that's the important thing as a young player. You need to feel like you belong out there. And with Damien giving these guys roles to play in the side that are quite important, it's given them confidence. And you're seeing that in their performances. So that's only going to be... positive for the future. So, look, but again, that list is going to probably get turned over a little bit more again, and they're going to get some more young guys in again this year. So, like I said, it's given those guys the chance to develop at AFL level. Mitch Morton is probably the one that could potentially help Jack Riewoldt kick the goals, but he's a bit flighty, isn't he, Parko? He tries to... He's a
kick-it mark, man. Yeah. I don't think he adds... When things are going, he clunks it, can kick a good goal, but there's not much else to his game. I think you've got to get more than that.
And being an ex-teammate of Damien, I know that he would be big on the defensive side of the game, and I think that's an area where Mitch Morton falls down in.
Thanks very much for your call, Gary. Billy from Inverloch. Welcome, Billy.
How's it going, boys?
Very well, Billy.
Mitch Morton, first thing, he won't be there at Richmond next year. And Dustin Martin's staying put.
Good.
And I'll tell you something now, watch out for Richmond in 2012. Because the young kids haven't even played 10 or 30 or 40 or 50 games. Once they get 50 games under their belt, just beware of the Tigers. 2012.
Well, 11 players less than 50, 8 players less than 20.
That's right.
Thanks, Billy.
It's all about getting games into these young kids and getting them to a level where they've played in between that sort of 50 to 100 games together as a group. And that's important that, if you've played together as a group, you can generally have success. And we're seeing that with Geelong. Those guys, all those guys, Bartel, Ablett, Chapman, Enright, Joel Corey, they've all played together.
We'll race through these last two calls. Last call, Graham from North East Victoria. Good afternoon to you, Graham, on Grandstand AFL.
G'day, boys. Have a great call there today.
Thank you, Graham.
My big question is probably to Dave Park, and I read a report the other week in the Herald Sun. We've got a lot of players under 180 centimetres, and probably a lot of them developing, and also how do they sort of match up to the other teams in the competition, and also what sort of players do we need to get to go further in the competition to get into the 8 and challenge in the finals?
Well, I think we've made up our mind today that the midfield's good and those blokes are appropriate size and shape. Don't think there's any problem about that. But they've got to find, I reckon, one more strong defensive player.
I agree.
Strong bloke who can kill a high contest coming in. They haven't got one of those. And they'll need a centre-half forward of some kind other than Jack Riewoldt. No doubt about that. But they've got 8 players under 180 centimetres, which is a lot in today's side.
Thanks for your call, Graham. We want to talk briefly about the Eagles in a second. And Gerard's been waiting patiently with the stats, and we'll get best players and votes before we go to Subiaco. But Stan and Adam, talking of waiting patiently, have been watching the game at Docklands. Bulldogs and Brisbane into the last quarter. Adam White.
Yeah, the first goal of the final quarter has just been kicked by Daniel Gia Siracusa. So as it stands at the moment, the Bulldogs 14-13, 97 to Brisbane 6-6-42, and 6 minutes gone final term. Stan, I was really interested at three-quarter time. Michael Voss spent a lot of time with his players and quite animated. Then even the playing group got together before they started this final quarter. Would you describe it as soul-searching?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, because they, they played in a game where they probably fought their way back in the second quarter to sort of get somewhere near the game, kicked that first goal of the third time, and then were absolutely smashed and blown away, 6 goals to nothing. And it was the way it did. The concern that I would have had from a Michael Voss point of view, and I'm sure he would have, was that so many of his players who were involved in that second term, they just went missing, totally out of it, and they were totally outplayed. And he's obviously started to talk about the quality of a player and your character and what needs to be done. And they've come out in this quarter, and the bottom line is, though, that the Bulldogs have got a massive taste. They've gone from one end of the ground to the other and kicked a goal from Gian Siracusa, and now they've just come up again, and I think it's Gilby running forward, and that's a classic case, is that when your defenders and everybody now going, they've got the run going, they've got the real taste, they've got the appetite, they've got the sense of the kill, and that's exactly what they're doing.
It could get ugly, and it's just amazing. I know I spoke about this earlier, but when Brendan Favola kicked a snap goal from the boundary, it was just 2 goals the difference, and since then the Dogs have kicked 8 goals in a row, and it's the lack of resistance from Brisbane that must be a real concern for Michael Voss.
Oh, there's no doubt, and that's what he'd be challenged, because have a look at the nature of the guy. How did he play and things like